stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing peaches until the sun lights. Summer shoots her beam so bright. Master Hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast, episode 12. We have a bit of a late start today. Not entirely anyone in particular's fault. The podcast got set up a little late for me, but then all of our communications were over Twitter DMs, and then Twitter freaked the hell out and wasn't sending links for 20 minutes.
So thanks, Elon.
So Elon.
Yeah,
thank you so much. You really made Twitter a better place. I'm gonna try to maybe get other contact info besides Twitter next time, so it doesn't happen. It doesn't even matter. We're here. We're live. We have a packed show, and I don't even have the topics up. So good thing we go around the room first and introduce ourselves. Why don't we start with a guy who hasn't been on in forever, Paul Gale Network.
Thanks for having me on.
Cue the crickets.
Thanks. No, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking group tonight. Sure, we have plenty of cool things to discuss. So
He's like, I haven't even looked at the list. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I read the thing. I just don't want to jump in yet because I'll talk too long.
That's all right. Gamebird Classic is back.
There it is.
How's it going? Thanks for having me back, man.
Dude, I missed it, man. We had that 2 weeks in a row one time. It was so special.
It was very special. I think about it regularly.
Every time before bed. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Excited to be here. Excited to talk some Nintendo with you cool ass folks. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Heck yeah. Then we got Fablam.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Good to see you guys again. Your favorite Twitch streamer right here. That's me. I hope you guys are doing great. And I'm excited to talk about Nintendo's not horror game. Luigi's Mansion 2.
Baby.
That's my favorite one. Just kidding. Anyways.
Eric Moore.
What's up?
Wearing the Brewer jersey.
Oh yeah.
I heard about, but I didn't pay any attention. The home run derby apparently sucked.
I don't know. I didn't. Well, no, the anthem sucked because the
I don't know. They were making fun of it on the radio, and I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
The singer was drunk.
Well, that's all right. They're having a good time.
Yeah, it was not.
Not on national TV, maybe.
Yeah, it was not good.
Maybe you should wait till after you're done singing, then get hammered.
Yeah.
They probably got drunk. Who was it? Like a famous person?
4-time Grammy winner.
So it's someone who shouldn't be nervous.
Yeah.
They should be used to it by now.
I've never heard of the gal. I heard about the story that she was drunk, but I have no idea who she is.
Maybe all her Grammys were one just studio stuff. She doesn't actually perform live ever.
That's what I thought. Maybe she was nervous and trying to loosen up.
Drunk.
Ingrid Andress.
Yeah, maybe she
that was her.
Doesn't do public performances much. I don't know. Anyways, look, I'm not gonna say I've never had some drinks before a performance, but I've never been sloshed. there's a difference between a couple drinks to calm the nerves and just being totally toasted. It is what it is. All right, we got Thunderstash Gaming up in here.
What's up, guys? A lot of exciting topics this week.
Yeah, he should be an expert on all of them.
Yeah, right.
Then you guys got me. What's up, everyone? I'm Nintendo Prime. You know what the heck's going on. We're almost back to a normal schedule. We still aren't quite back to a video every day, but we're working our way back. One thing I will warn, we're not really talking about the Famicom Detective Club game today. Sorry for anyone that was looking forward to that. I'm actually excited for the game. Comes out next month. That was a piece of news I just want to kind of get out of the way. The Who is Emio thing. Turns out it was a brand new Famicom Detective Club game, which is the first brand new game in that series in 35 years. What I find hilarious about people that are disappointed about the announcement is, look, everyone just bitches that all we care about is Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, and Pokemon. And then here Nintendo's like, hey, we brought back a franchise from 35 years ago. Boo! Boo! What are we booing for?
Yep. This is exactly why I pre-ordered it today.
Yeah.
Damn!
Yeah, you got to support it, man. Otherwise, we won't get these
They
things.
remastered or
Absolutely.
remade the originals. Like everyone that's saying boo, have you even played it? Like the original games, let alone that. Like if you played the originals and don't like it, then I think you have a right to boo. The one thing I'm going to say sounds crazy about it is Sakamoto. He's like, hey man, the end of this game is going to be like really disturbing, basically, and it's like, oh shit.
Well, I
The
mean,
whole game is rated, E plus.
Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be like I think the ending's going to be probably someone's going to unalive themselves that just really surprises you, based on what we've seen in some of the ratings, and I think that it's going to be dealing with some pretty dark shit, and it's going to make people feel a very certain way, and that to me is exciting because it kind of feels like the reins are off. He literally said, like, this is what I've been wanting to do. For those who don't know who this dude is, he's the Metroid guy.
Yeah.
This Metroid.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. And I get it. The visual novel genre is, for the most part, very niche, but there are some breakout games in that genre. Danganronpa fits the bill. The 999 series, if you guys are familiar with that one, that tell really cool, character-driven, dark stories. I'm excited. This is right up my alley, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
And for people disappointed in how they chose to originally reveal this with the tease last week, that was fucking brilliant. You think if they drop a Famicom Detective Club thing, it's going to get more than like 20,000 views on no. They got like millions of views on a mystery.
Yep.
Perfect way.
I agree. It was brilliant.
Yeah, some people are going to be like, oh,
cool.
well, boo, I'm not going to play. Dude, you probably didn't play the original anyways. You don't even know what you're going to miss out on.
And if this plays a little bit like Professor Layton, maybe, if they blend genres, it could be even better.
I'm going to feel good feeling disturbed from a Nintendo game. That's the crazy thing. It's an M-rated Nintendo game. It's meant to make me feel disturbed. There it is.
There it is.
Nice.
Oh, he's got it. He's got the bag. Let's go.
He's been waiting for. He made his own little video. The second trailer thing. Yeah, it was pretty clever, revealing who it was. It was him.
Yeah, that was funny. I saw that.
I didn't know he was gonna bust it out on the stream. That's great.
Nice.
Oh, that's great. Gotta love Paul. That is epic. He comes prepared. All right. Because I was like, what the hell is he doing vanishing under his desk?
You cannot not have Emio in some discussion
had the
today.
black and white TV effect just going on while you did it. Anyways.
Everyone here saw the second trailer before today, though, right?
Well, clearly.
Yeah, I saw it. That was good.
Anyways, let's get to our topic roulette. Let's see. You know what? I don't feel like doing two topics today. Does Steve or Eric want to do two topics today?
Yeah, I do too.
All right, so then you can go ahead and pick the first one because you'll pick the first and the last.
Okay, I will go with what new UI features do we want on Switch 2?
It's a good one. Damn, it's almost like you came up with that topic. Eric, which one do you want to take?
Oh gosh. Might as well just go to the next one on the list.
Oh my god, it's so boring.
Is it time for Nintendo to add trophies, achievements? Why or why not?
Okay, yeah. Obviously, we'll switch to a related topic. You know what? I think I'm going to keep this going a little bit because I'm pretty sure almost all these topics are pretty much switched to. Let's go ahead with out of order, the top 5 dormant IP we want to see come back from Nintendo.
Sweet. And then I'll have the last topic, which is the top 5 third-party games that we want to see on Switch 2.
Woo! This is exciting. I'm so excited. Can you guys tell? All right.
He's in. Oh my god, he's so locked in.
I've been it's like one of the favorite things I do every week. All right, Steve. Sorry. Correction. Thunder Stash.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, got to correct. It's no longer Thunder Steve.
All right, UI features. So we got a lot of opportunity, I think, for improvement here. Okay. And I made a short list of some things that I would personally like to see improved on the UI. So I'm just going to jump right into it. and then we'll pass it around and see what you guys think as well. See if you come up with anything outside of what I got here. So the first one would be, we need more than just a black and white theme. I think it's crazy that that's all we have.
Amen.
Now-
Amen.
Right now, like, does this affect gameplay? No, none of this stuff does, right? But if Nintendo asks us, what would you change? I would say, hey, let's get some themes. We had themes on 3DS, right? Nintendo had their own themes that you could download.
Mhm.
And then if you look across the water at, say, PlayStation, on the PS4, you used to be able to upload your own wallpaper. And that is like your actual theme. You could upload any sort of JPEG file you want, and that's your theme. So I think that is an easy way to kind of change things up. I think for the games, we need to have folders. That would be nice.
Yeah.
The eShop, please. We have to overhaul the eShop. It's very slow. And on top of that, one thing that's really missing, we got to add some music. We all loved the Wii eShop theme.
My gosh.
Can everyone
I-
agree on that?
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
have videos like YouTube shorts about how much of a like banger not even just the eShop theme, but like just even the menu theming, even the Wi-Fi, like just the Wi-Fi section within the settings has its own theme that goes crazy hard in the 3DS. Honestly, just bring the 3DS UI back and just cut the top screen. Like honestly, just make it cleaner and faster, and because like everything about the 3DS UI was like kind of perfect. If we need to be real for a second,
And you have more to sell, buying the Metroid theme, buying the Zelda music, buying this
Exactly.
look. I mean, if you
It's
give people too
freeload.
much access, then there will be no incentive to buy, their own.
Yeah.
But if you make it like that, that's another incentivized,
Mhm.
personalized thing. Why not?
Mhm.
I agree. I think it's easy money for Nintendo to put out their own themes. Obviously, like with PlayStation, they open it up to where you could put your own wallpaper there and create your own theme. I don't really see Nintendo doing that. I don't think they want to give us that much freedom to upload whatever we want, because people will upload whatever they want. Probably some inappropriate stuff, and it might reflect negatively on Nintendo if they do that.
What?
I
Yeah,
know-
look what happened with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm
Exactly.
talking about.
Yes. But we know how guarded Nintendo is, obviously, with their IP and their reputation. But themes, I mean, we did it with 3DS. What did they charge? You guys remember? Was it
I feel like it
$1.99?
was $1.99, I think is right. I mean, it would also make cool little pre-order bonuses as well.
That's right.
I think is, not that you should just pre-order anything and everything, but do your research, make sure it's a game you want to play. But I think it's a cool pre-order incentive. Actually, when we're going to be talking about in the next segment trophies and stuff, but I have an idea with this sort of thing with trophies, but I'll mention that when we get there.
Okay, cool.
That I think is interesting.
With the themes too, I don't know if you guys remember, but they were animated, right? And there was sound effects too, like from the game. So like if you got a Metroid theme, there would be Metroid like music and different animations and whatnot. So again, that would be really cool. And as the world kind of moves more towards digital only, sadly, obviously I love physical, but we know what direction it's going in, right? And you mentioned pre-order. It's like, man, that would be a good pre-order incentive, wouldn't it? Because what other incentives do you really have? I mean, yeah, there's the digital soundtrack, digital art book, but outside of that, that would be really cool for people who don't really care so much about that. Throw in a theme for the game.
True.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's cool. And dude, who doesn't love personalizing, their systems? I love themes like you guys mentioned on the 3DS. I loved it on the PS4. I remember I had my Dark Souls 3 theme on my PS4, and it would just play the Dark Souls theme song, and it would have one of the knights walking across the screen the whole time by bonfires and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
it, you know, it just gave it flavor. It just gave you that extra flavor and made your console kind of stand out, you know, among your friends.
Yep.
What I was going to ask everybody, what theme did you have? Because I had, which is so funny that this was a theme on the 3DS because it was never. Oh my god! I turned the 3D on. It was wild looking. I meant to do the volume. I had the Skyward Sword theme. I don't know if anyone can see that. Do not.
Oh yeah,
please
that was a pretty.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
pay attention to the totally legal apps I have on this 3DS. And pay attention to the top screen. But yeah, that was mine. Was Skyward Sword. Ooh, yeah, that tracks. That tracks for you, Paul.
That's
Yeah.
such a good tune. It loops so well.
Of course.
For sure.
I think
for
I had
sure.
I ended up buying several over the years.
Yeah. Did anybody else have themes that they remember having, or
I had the Link
Yeah.
Between Worlds theme.
Link Between Worlds. I think
I
That's a
had
good one? That's a great one.
I had both Link Between Worlds and Majora's Mask, and I'd
Majora's Mask.
swap between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I did have that one too. That one was really cool.
Man, they need to bring back, like, I guess maybe this is part of another section, but like, I'm just so surprised that we lost so many of the like little cool touches that the 3DS had when going to Switch. Like I kind of get it because it's like cost cutting measures, I suppose, but also like Street Pass and like I mean even just I don't know. There's just like so many things about the 3DS that just made it so you were encouraged to use it in because I feel like there's not really incentive to take your Switch on the go per se, other than the fact that it's like, oh, it is portable. It's not as like, oh, you aren't encouraged to sit there and play your Switch with another person or like, you know, oh, it's, you know, Street Pass with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Street
Like-
Pass would have been sick on the Switch. It would have,
Yeah.
especially
Yes.
with what a hot seller. You know, obviously it's currently on its way to possibly being the best selling console of all time. Just the thoughts of having Street Pass on it and all the experiences players would be having with that is really, really cool. I think it's a bummer we missed it. Hopefully that's something that comes to you know, Switch 2.
Street Pass
Fine.
and the pedometer directly
The
ties into
pedometer,
one of
yeah.
my dormant games that I'll be talking
Yeah.
about later
That
on.
was cool. Yeah.
You mentioned-
I had that
sorry.
on my list too. I was just gonna say the Street Pass, by the way. I'm glad you brought it up. I had it on my list because I think that's really cool technology.
Yeah.
And you know, it really helps to, I think, build a community, right? And you actually you meet people just by
Yeah.
bringing your Switch everywhere you go. And I think that's a really good thing. So that's something I would love to see. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back, but you know, why not?
Yeah, I mean, or even if it doesn't even have to be called Street Pass, just a version of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, because
A
I
new
think
vision
it's
for
cool.
it.
Yeah, I think it's cool to just have that. It encourages, because I mean that's like Nintendo's bread and butter is like the couch gaming type vibe, and I feel like that really encourages that, even though you may be at a convention or an airport or whatever else. But anyways, yeah, sorry, don't just.
I mean, yeah,
Gotta
no,
hammer
you're
that
right
home.
though. Think about the 140 million Switch owners, and you're right. Going to conventions, I mean, think about all the people that would have their Switch on them, and then you got all
Yeah.
these friends now that you can play the game with. That would be cool.
That
Yeah,
would
be sick.
that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
you also mentioned music in the eShop. I think that's a fantastic idea. I mean, I think every Nintendo fan who's been around misses that, you know. The Wii
Yeah.
eShop theme is obviously super iconic and probably one of the most popular Nintendo songs. But I even think the Wii U music was fantastic too. And if I remember correctly, you guys maybe correct me if I'm wrong on this. I feel like they updated the eShop music in the Wii U eShop during holiday or seasonal times to have kind of like Halloween time. It was kind of a spooky flair. Christmas time, it kind of had more of a Christmassy vibe to it. I feel like I remember that, or maybe it was for special sales events that they did that. But I feel like I remember the theme would alter during seasons.
You
Kind
are
of like, yeah,
it.
kind of like
I have it
think
right here,
Banjo
wait.
Kazooie. It's the same Gruntilda's Lair theme song, but it changes the instruments and how it plays depending on which world you're near when you're in the kind of castle hub.
Yeah,
Or you hop on Yoshi and it's got that.
Does
Yeah,
the
yeah,
screen
yeah.
share have audio? Yeah. So we have some. So this is. I think this is the. I don't see any other holiday, but this was the Christmas or holiday themes. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So here's.
I'm
the
almost
Christmas
positive
one.
they did it for Halloween as
Yeah.
well.
These are Halloween one. So,
And this
so
system's going to
Christmas.
have more than 4 gigs of RAM, and probably the CPU will have more than just one. Even if it has 2, that's going to be double, which this kind of stuff won't bog down the memory. It won't make it slower. We'll be able to have a little bit of a snappier eShop, faster transitions, music that then doesn't take 5 seconds, 10 seconds to load in between. Got to shut the music down to start the game. I think they want it snappy. Maybe they'll do something like they did with Nintendo Switch, where you could like pause the game, go into a different menu, go back, and how Xbox sort of evolved it with. You could have 8 games doing that at the same time. Nintendo will want a smooth, cohesive experience, but maybe those, custom themes and stuff will be enough to differentiate it as like, this is what the system's capable of. This is how much more different it is. What you love, what we've established, not a silly console from the get-go. It was a gamer's machine from the beginning that had cool things. And now it's like, now that we got you back in by the droves, we could have a little bit of that Nintendo fun magic that you sort of know. Whereas sometimes their experimentalism doesn't bode well with everyone, but they have to still do it. It's in their nature. That's how they expand the industry. So a little bit of tried and true, a little bit of, what makes them unique. I'm excited. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I just the quirkiness gives Nintendo so much personality and really makes them stand out. But I want to take it a step further. Right? Like, I think eShop music is great, but I'd also love to have either some music or some sort of ambiance in just like your regular home screen when you're like navigating. It doesn't have to be a full-blown jingle. Maybe it could be cool ambiance based off your theme. If you have a Zelda theme, maybe there's a little bit of particle effects. If it was a Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch too, and there was a theme for it, maybe get some of those golden leaves that you see on like the concept art, kind of a transparent golden particle effect falling down. And maybe it just has like this mystical kind of ambient sound behind it, but it's not like a full song. I just want to see that character come back. Everyone loves it, and I obviously I love how snappy and quick the UI is on the Switch. I mean, the time it takes to go from a turned off console to back into the game that you were last playing is faster than anything on the market. So
wild.
they nailed that. But I think they can bring back a little bit of that charm. They don't have to go crazy. Bring a little bit of the magic back and then really wow us with the software. But I think little things like music and themes could really go a long way to, give that quirkiness, that personality that Nintendo's so loved for and known for.
They're going to convey that messaging with 2 snaps. They're going to, each person's going to do 2 snaps.
That would be good. I agree with you guys big time. And I was thinking about it too. I think people would spend more money. I literally do. And I'm sure you guys would probably see what I'm saying. But if the eShop runs smoothly and it's easy to use versus how it is now, where I'm like, I'm going to find what I want. Like, I already know what I want. I don't go in there and browse. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look up the game I'm getting and I download it and then I'm out of there because it's just so clunky. But if it's a smooth experience and you got some nice music like we had with the Wii, you're going to spend more time in the eShop, which is going to result in you spending more money because you're going to browse the whole store. Think about it in real life. Like, if you walk into a store and it's just not a good experience and they got like horrible music playing. And you're like, dude, you know what? I'm just going to scan this really quick and see if there's anything cool because I want to be in and out of here in like 1 minute. That's what I did.
Yeah.
So when I'm in a Hollister's, sorry.
Yeah. No, same here. Like, there's certain places where, maybe the girlfriend drags me to and I'm going with her just to be there with her, but I really don't want to be in here. It's like that. So I think they can make it a way better experience. And in turn, people will probably spend more money. So
Yeah, and do some cool event music stuff, kind of like the Wii U eShop where they did the seasonal, but maybe like anniversaries. Think the Zelda anniversary.
Yes.
Maybe there's some discounted older Zelda games. It's blasting the classic Zelda theme song and the eShop stuff like that.
I love the
be
season
rad.
aspect. I think the season makes a lot of sense. So that would be very cool. Okay. Let me jump into the next one here. I was looking at the Switch today. I was looking at the news. It's like we could do something, I think, with the news.
Where there's a news section on the Switch.
Exactly.
I was on the news section once.
Oh yeah, featured news. There it is.
Yeah,
As I
and
open it
so
up.
It's
You
literally
guys-
like a button at the bottom.
They need to integrate the news with the eShop, just like PlayStation does and Xbox. Your news and your store is the same storefront. That's where your news is. Like that's where you learn about new games that just came out. It makes sense to have them together. Now, I'm guessing Switch wasn't able to do it due to some sort of restriction. Nate, you mentioned before, I think you said that the eShop is like a web-based store. Is that right? Yeah. So there's
Yeah, it is
limitations there. I get it. We all get it.
Not Switch. Yeah.
But it would make sense, I think, for them to combine the news, because that's also your advertisements, with what you could be potentially be buying. So another opportunity there.
I would say, why don't we bring back the news like we had it on the Wii, where it's just like the news.
Actual news.
Oh, the
I love
actual
that channel.
news and
I
the
love
weather
spinning that
channel.
globe around.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say what recent political events, but imagine that on your Switch. I
a
saw
game?
someone tweet out like they brought it up on their like Wii news like from forever ago. They like have one of those. Oh god, it's so funny. Anyway,
That would
sorry,
be
I thought
funny.
that would be a good bit.
That actually would be pretty funny.
Mhm.
So what about video apps, guys? Like the Netflix, the Hulu, the YouTube.
It's about time they kind of come to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Kinda
I-
overdue.
Launch it with Netflix on it, and at the same time launch it alongside a brand new 12-episode high-quality animated Star Fox series and a Star Fox game. Gosh dang!
You're thinking too well, Paul.
Wait,
You're thinking
I
too
want
well.
it so bad.
Dude,
Paul, I love it. But I'm gonna put my vote not for the animated Star Fox, although I think Star Fox would work phenomenal as like an anime series. I want them to get Jim Henson Studios in on it, bring the
Ooh.
puppets
That'd be awesome.
from the ads.
Dinosaur Office
Make it-
comes back.
That'd be cool.
I want-
Yes.
I
Those
want them in the
puppets at
cockpits,
E3,
puppeteering.
They
so
were
rad.
so cool. They looked so good. If you have this blend where the Star Fox characters and Star Wolf and General Pepper and everybody is all
Mhm.
puppeteer, but
All
the
puppeteering.
ships are a combination of props and then CGI for all the
Sure.
lasers and stuff going on. That would be pretty dope.
It'd be so
Oh
sick.
man.
So
And that's how
be
you
rad.
launch Netflix on Switch. Yeah.
I see some people in chat saying Switch does have a YouTube app. Excuse me, I
Yeah.
had a
yes, no.
but it could have a better one.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
that's what I
wild
mean,
that
too.
like the Wii's Netflix app is still the most proficient app, like streaming service app that they've put on any of their consoles. I think Hulu was on Wii U, if I remember correctly. And yeah, no, I think it's just overdue. I mean, it must be like a licensing, like they
Hulu's
must have to
on-
pay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would say at this
Yeah.
point, those streaming services are so big that I bet that Nintendo would have to pay Netflix to put their app on their stuff, which is probably why it's not on Switch versus the other way around. Because I think they do that with Roku and other devices, and it just depends on like
they do.
whatever's So
I think that's what it is too. And I do though. I still think Netflix would be wise to
Mhm.
try and get Netflix on the Switch. I mean, you got 140 million people you could tap into right now. It's like,
Yeah.
really? And obviously, some of the stuff would look really good on the OLED Switch if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And
well,
then
I would actually argue because it in terms of market share, you probably if you strike a deal with Disney, because that gives you Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, you get the bundle. You know what I'm saying? At least I don't know. That's if I was Nintendo, that would probably be you get the most bang for your buck, air quotes, because they're all looped together.
Mhm.
And that would account for about. I need to see the actual. Hang on, let me look at the actual market share. But continue. Sorry, I cut you off there.
I was just say I think it would be cool, and of course one of the things we've heard, and of course these are just rumors about the Switch 2 though, is that it's going to have a significantly improved battery life. And so when you talk about doing things like, streaming, live TV, live sports on there, Netflix, it's like, you know what? It actually could work out pretty well if it's going to have, a much improved battery life. I think with the OG Switch, who knows how much time you can squeeze out of it and get in some game time on one charge. But the Switch 2, if it's improved, say maybe it's 5-6 hours, I think it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree.
You got me. I'm sold.
Okay. Next one. Get rid of friend codes. Let's move to usernames.
Oh my God.
Can we
Just
do
do
that?
Or just do the
I want
Discord.
longer digit friend codes, actually. I want it to be 32 characters long. I'm the opposite.
You need to.
the show right now.
And I want it to be like the old cell phone style where you have to go 111 to do C 2222.
T9.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
T9 texting.
You
Yeah.
have to put area codes in. Oh my God.
With upper cases and lower cases too.
That'd be great.
Just do what Discord does. Or you could even do I mean, they probably don't want. Again, that goes back to the licensing, whatever else thing. But you could probably do Discord integration. I feel like the opportunity there is endless.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like one of the features I'd love the most is to see something like Discord just integrated into the console, have them like a special curated version of it for the Switch. No more of the Nintendo app. It's a pain. No more of the crappy friend codes and matching shapes and all the other ways that they had to do it. And I get
Yeah, I get that they're trying to keep it within their own ecosystem, and I think that's what a lot of this boils down to is again, it's their branding, it's the ecosystem of the Switch, but it's I just wish that one, it just makes more sense to do username and hashtag, right? That would probably just be easiest, let it go, That's what 90% of games do nowadays. So then everybody can still have you can still have your gamer tag, but it's still unique to you, etc. But the Discord integration thing would be so interesting because you see it on every other console in the industry at this point. And then you start to get it into PC integration at that point. But I mean, it would be difficult for sure, but I think it's overdue because just purely from the fact that it's everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that they need to do it, but it would definitely be something that's okay, Nintendo, you're not gonna create a forced market share because you're limiting your audience, because it's really a limiting factor, not hey, it's because it's better. I don't know. Anyways, that's just my little blurb on it.
Well, PlayStation added Discord voice chat in March, so they have it now. And you mentioned that kind of everyone else is doing it. And that's where I'm well, then I feel like Nintendo's probably not going to do it then. Because if everyone's doing it, they don't do it.
Right.
But it would be nice to have.
Unless they decided to partner with another company and create their own unique thing that's integrated into the Switch instead of through an app. Yeah. Which would be the next best scenario. But the app's got to go. We're all excited to see what Switch 2 is. We're all excited to see the new bells and whistles and what makes it unique, why it stands out from the first Switch. To have to package Switch 2 with an apology, which is basically your Nintendo Switch Online app, carries over. You'll be able to talk with your friends through the app just like you did before, is going to be an ouch moment. So I hope it's not the case. And it seems like I don't know. I feel like there's been little breadcrumbs here and there that have made me feel that they're thinking about online play a little bit more seriously than they did when they were designing Switch 2, coming off of the heels of a commercial failure with the Wii U. I feel like now maybe it's the time for them to re-examine that and take a better stab at it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right. One other thing I had on here, and guys, some of these things we're talking about, I think are bigger deals than others, right? This one is just a nice thing to have. I miss the intros, man. The GameCube intro. Think about like the PlayStation 1 intro and that music. It was so classic. And if you hear it today, you're just like, oh man, that brings me back. Like, it would be really nice to have something unique for this. Like, the GameCube intro was so cool. The animation, the sound effect, it was really cool. Now, do we need it? No, but would it be cool? Yes.
Yeah. I think that sort of stuff is great marketing too. I mean, the switch sound, the snap sound, or the click of the boards has become iconic. I'd love to see that evolve into something more with Switch 2. Everyone knows the GameCube sound. Everyone knows the PlayStation 1 sound, another really iconic startup. Yeah, the classic Sega.
Yeah, I saw
from the
Eric
old days.
in chat mention that. Yeah, Sega's just so classic.
It's just like iconic. I mean, they could do anything. They could just build on that for all I care. The Switch sound. They could have that clack followed by someone moaning "ow," like something horrible, and that would be cool to me.
Wait. Say that one more time.
They could do the classic Switch followed by "ow," and I'd still be like, "Oh, that's pretty rad."
Hell yeah,
I like that.
That might be it. Probably it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, keep it creative. Bring that charm back. Keep it creamy.
It's fun. Keep it creamy.
Yeah.
That's a pre-podcast joke.
So
Yeah,
that's what I always say.
That's what I always say.
Again, the stutter is what gets me.
What is happening?
Chat, for those you don't know, we had a little pre-podcast bit, and Gameberg really doubled down on it. It's about keeping it creamy.
I'm a cream guy. What can I say?
Oh.
Yep.
Moving on. I can't.
It's like, all right, let's get over this. We're done with this.
I
We're
don't
done here.
even know what to say right now. This is just
Could be worse.
this is wild.
And that's
guys.
games.
To get back on track.
On track.
Outside of all those UI features that we just mentioned, do you have any other ones that you guys want to throw out there before we move on to our next topic?
This works if the system's dock is a little bit different. So imagine the front of the Nintendo Switch dock not being plastic, but just being enough for safety so that it doesn't fall out. And if anything, tilted back a little bit, right? So the Nintendo Switch dock, but tilted back slightly, and so that you can see the screen. What if the screen in like a standby mode was a clock, was a little Mario animated thing jumping around? So on your desk, on your entertainment center, the dock could be a second screen. That could be your updates. That could be your news. That could be your notification. That could be your friend request. You have a new friend request, something that would glow up. You don't have to have it. It could be off, but there's so much more that you could do if the dock's front face is not completely covering it. And I would love it. And, some things could be by default, like maybe the clock is by default on there. But maybe a secondary feature is like, yeah, you could play it as the tabletop mode. Maybe that's an alternate way that you could play. Now, by not taking the Nintendo Switch even out of the dock to play it in tabletop mode, it literally is just servicing as its own, TV source right then and there. But most of the implications I'm thinking is this little wake up buddy, is this alarm that says, hey, wake up, Ring Fit Adventure time. Because a notification, because Ring Fit Adventure had that. So that would be really cool. And maybe you're watching YouTube on that or something. Everyone's entertainment center is different, but if you're 12 feet away or 16 feet away, you're probably not going to choose, the Nintendo Switch 8-inch screen on your new NS2 dock to watch it on. But enough little things. I mean, it'd be pretty sweet. That whole thing, as soon as you just have that front of the face of the dock removed and tilted back, and a whole new world of creativity is in there, and like the marketing would be different. Part of this thing is like, is it distinguishably different? And that would be, dude, the old thing does not do this. That's cool.
Yeah.
What is the feature?
That's
I think it's
cool
the
idea.
always on screen, especially if they probably won't, but if they keep the OLED screen from, the OLED version of the Switch, which is kind of how iPhones operate. I guess it's like more like their Retina display. But anyways, regardless, if they did something where it's the always on display, where it's like on, but it's not super evasive, like Paul was saying, it could, like you said, like the alarm clock, that's a really cool feature. And I bet you could even start doing things like integrating it with Pokemon Sleep, or like their other apps that they do that are like other health benefits app, that because Nintendo's always kind of had that little, ever since the Wii, that little health nut, for whatever reason they love that kind of like technology and like to fiddle around with it and get it integrated into their games, right? I don't know, it could be an idea.
If it has a frontal facing camera that is acknowledging which user, and like if a parental control wants to say, don't let these faces access mature rated games, there you go. Unless if you are sitting here with my 9-year-old son or my 7-year-old daughter, this rated game is not going to exist. Which doesn't anyways with them, but you know what I mean? Like that's
it's like the face recognition on these.
Awesome facial recognition. Like it's and if anyone says, well, that sounds too expensive, maybe, but it's kind of like cars. At one point, automatic car window rolling up feature, rolling down feature was a high luxury, and now it's freaking everywhere. At one time, backup cameras were, oh man, you got backup camera? Now most cars have that equipped. So facial recognition software and a little cheap camera. I mean, I'm not saying it costs nothing. And would it be worth it to them? Yeah, but it's probably not too much of a cost to include that it's not too high end of a feature that's not unimaginable anymore on a Nintendo.
I don't think that would be too expensive, to be honest with you. The facial recognition is software, and then the camera. I mean, we've been putting cameras and stuff forever, but maybe what do I know? I'm not a tech guy, so I might be way off.
You just hit up Tim Cook, easy. Yo, wow,
there you go.
How you do this?
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if they bring back themes. Like if they brought back themes, and you could buy like an animated theme to play on your Switch when you're not using it, or an animated clock. Like I think about right behind me, you guys see it next to Reggie. It's my Game and Watch.
Yeah,
The Legend of Zelda, and that functions, as a clock too. So does the Mario. It's like that would make sense. I mean, people would buy those if they were displaying at all times when you're not using your Switch. And then you'd probably put your Switch in a more prominent, display area for like people come over, you can see the Switch and you can see whatever theme's on. Exactly.
I love the designs of how different NES, Super NES, N64, GameCube, and Wii were. And that was kind of the end of it. Everything since then has sort of just been different rectangle boxes, kind of with the exception of PlayStation 5. That did change it up a lot. But I wouldn't mind this screen being like, I could choose to have a GameCube background just as a GameCube there. It's kind of weird. Cool. Like, why would you have a GameCube on your background screen as Nintendo Switch? But like a lot of Nintendo fans are Nintendo fans for long enough that we had nostalgia for past consoles. So yeah, maybe I want it to be a 3D looking NES or a SNES that's on your screen on that, through that dock, that when you're walking by, you see it. So it looks like it's a part of your entertainment center, or just any images, like you said, or little ambient music if you want. I mean,
PlayStation did that too. They sold a PS1 anniversary theme for your PS4, and it was really cool. Like everything is PS1. It's really cool.
A small logo bouncing around. Like, my wife and I got my parents for Christmas. It's what is it? Okay, I can't think of the basic word now. A picture frame, but it's one of those digital picture frames,
Yeah.
Oh, like the
So
aura
it constantly
frames.
changes. It's got a whole bunch of gigs and stuff, but it's so easy these days that I could now,
Mhm.
email it, or I text it basically. So I could be at my house, I could text the pictures there, and it just bloop,
Yep.
pops
Did that with
into
my
their
grandma.
thing via
That's
Wi-Fi,
cool.
and it's really
Yeah.
cool because the old one, you have to get like an SD card, take it from the computer.
Load it
There's
up.
always this hurdle in between, and now I can just text the device, and my parents are getting constant new updates, and like,
Yep.
that's just live and fun and new, and it's got hundreds of photos that are on different timers. You can make it last 10 seconds per photo, less or more, whatever. And Nintendo Switch just having something neat like that in the entertainment center, that's a talking point in a sea of plastic boxes that are black and gray and white of different rectangular shapes. Here's this one that is this live screen, and no console would have that. You think like swappable faceplates are cool? Man, this thing is a living, breathing faceplate. That's the
That would be
best
really cool.
idea that I have for Nintendo. Possibly that do they know about my idea? Maybe.
No, I think that idea is really cool. I can think of so many different unique spins on it and things that they can do with it. Heck, they could. I was going to mention, Steve, that I'd also love to see Miiverse basically make its way back, and maybe super popular Miiverse posts, display, when
Yeah.
you could have it display Miiverse stuff, or
Yeah.
little animations. Maybe maybe that face reflects your theme.
It makes me
ties into it.
disappointed because I are skeptical about maybe a version of Miiverse could come back with these new whatever they did in Switch Sports characters, but it is unfortunate. It seems like they have definitely taken a lot of steps to kind of walk away from Mii's being a part of the Nintendo brand. Like they're still there and they still are part of things, and I think it's more of like a legacy inclusion than it is like we want to keep actively making these a part of like this is a Nintendo thing, but I think moving forward I would be very surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I would be very surprised if Mii's came back as we knew them on the Wii and Wii U per se. Maybe we'll see something again with those newer avatars, but in terms of avatars, like in that kind of, I think that era is also just kind of over. Like I remember when Mii's were a thing, Xbox and PlayStation had to emulate it, and get their own avatars and everything else. But I think that era of like gaming is over, to be real with you. Which, have we gone into the trophies topic or no? I can save it for that.
No, we're actually going to jump in.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that leads me into the
We're
trophies
ready.
thing.
If
Yeah,
everyone, if you guys are cool, we're ready to jump into the next.
One thing I want to bring up quick.
Go for it.
We had a super chat come in that was related to this topic. This comes from Jorge FT. He says, how can Nintendo have all the UI features you all hope for while maintaining the UI's fast speed and RAM use within a gigabyte like the Switch's UI?
I think 2 for the CPU and 10 for the GPU is enough of a split. Doubling that Nintendo Switch RAM, that might be enough to do it.
It
could be wrong. I don't know all the ins and outs, but a 210 split seems all right, assuming the system's 12.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. The fact is, we don't know. There's speculation. There's potential leaks and rumors about the Switch 2, but we really don't know anything until Nintendo comes out and says it. It could be more powerful than we all think it is. It could be less powerful than we all think it is. But I don't know. I would really love to see some, if not all, these features make a return. And I think it's likely that some do. Maybe not all of them, but I think it's likely some do.
I agree. I think it's likely that a decent amount of them make a return. And I would agree that if it is 12 gigs, a 10-2 split would make sense.
Yeah, like if it's 12, a 10-2 split, I mean, obviously does make sense. I do wonder if, like I've talked about before, like one thing I really love about the Switch's UI is that it's just super clean. Like themes and music and all that stuff like sounds good on paper and adds identity. But then when I boot up my PlayStation, there ain't any of that shit most of the time. Same with the Xbox, same with your phone. There's like no other device that does it. And Nintendo created this whole new audience of people that don't have that stuff. Like I think a lot of people clamoring for it are older heads. My kids don't give two shits. There's no themes, no music. So like when I think about the UI and stuff, a lot of it is just like I just want to see technical improvements, like letting us organize things any way we want, putting folders on the home screen, just making navigation easier, and honestly, more snappy in general all around. Snappier in the screenshot app. Make the NSO be one giant application instead of 17 different ones. And have that actually be like really smooth. You can get into the eShop and how that should just be a native application that the eShop needs. Oh, dude, I could talk about the eShop for like an hour on anything that you can do to make that better. Even though it basically just boils down to, hey, Nintendo, have you ever used Netflix? Just do that.
I don't know, even Netflix's UI, respectfully,
But it's not. But here's the thing: that's how bad.
Better than the eShop. It's better than the eShop.
Nintendo's horrible. How about just have game recommendations in general, based on what you've played? Would be cool. We don't have that at all.
Oh wow, a 4.
Yeah, I mean
page.
that could be a whole
For you,
podcast. There's a lot of room for improvement.
That would be a wild thing. A for you page on the Nintendo eShop, or just, I mean, there's kind of that on Steam. There's a because you played this, here's this. It gives you like a scroll wheel, like 10 different games.
Bring back user ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it on Wii U.
Cool. On Wii U, it was the stars, right? It was a star system, or am I wrong? Yeah, they got to do stars. No thumbs up, thumbs down, because that's not helpful at all.
No, it's
the
not.
stars.
The stars.
Yeah, a range gives more nuance for sure.
I mean, look, let's just be honest. Nintendo fans are biased, and every single Nintendo game was 4.5 stars and up. But hey, the thing is, we're not trying to sort through the Nintendo games. People are trying to sort through the indie games and all the third-party stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah.
They're not worried about. We know what the Nintendo games are. Nintendo shoves it in our face. It's the other stuff that we need the ratings for. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to make sure we got to that super chat while it was relevant.
No, that's valid. Yeah.
All right, now we can transition.
Transition. Yeah.
By the way, if you're enjoying this podcast, please hit that like button.
This podcast is brought to you by
the like button.
Nintendo Prime.
Cream.
Cream is crazy. Oh my gosh.
So Eric,
Yeah.
what is our second topic, bud?
Our second topic is it time for Nintendo to add trophies / achievements? Why or why not?
I
don't care.
yeah.
I've seen a couple of things pop up here when we're playing NCAA. It's like woohoo. What am I going to do with that? Woohoo! I don't know.
I think it's time. And this is as someone who, like you, Eric, does not care about trophies or achievements. I don't hunt them at all. I have zero. I play my PlayStation all the time. I've had every PlayStation system. I play the crap out of the games I love. I don't have a single platinum on my PlayStation. I do not care about that stuff. But with that being said, I realize that there's a lot of people who really love trophies and achievements. And there's people who collect their platinums. And I think that trophies and achievements are a good way to get people to continue engaging in your game and gives it extra longevity. It challenges people to experiment and try new approaches to missions or whatever. So I ultimately think, even though it's not for me, that it's a good thing for Nintendo to introduce that. And I could see Nintendo doing something really cool with a trophy or achievement system that no one else is doing. And this ties back into kind of the first topic when I started thinking about this. But the idea of rewarding certain achievement or trophy milestones. Maybe it's new icons, new like special character icons from the game. Maybe it's themes. You know, you platinum or whatever the achievement one is for getting all the achievements. that Microsoft does or Steam
Sony
does.
Platinum, yeah.
So, yeah, I know Sony's Platinum. I'm not sure what Microsoft does.
Xbox doesn't have it. Like they have
Okay, they don't
achievements,
have
but
it.
they don't have a grand. It's just all achievements, no platinum achievement. It's just achievements.
Just imagine a game like Tears of the Kingdom where like the sky's the limit on how you can approach playing the game, having wild achievements, kill 10 bokoblins from the sky, you know, or I don't know, just weird things. People are building all these crazy contraptions that they could think of with Ultra Hand just to find unique ways to get these trophies or achievements or whatever. But I think the idea of actually rewarding people for it, whether it's cool icons, colors, themes, whatever, is like an extra unique little spin. And they don't have to make it, you know, they don't have to make it super crazy, but I just thinking keeping people in your games longer. People, like I said, obviously really, really love trophies and achievements.
They do.
Not me. Again, that's not me. But the base is there. Believe me. Like people get really passionate about that stuff. So how could it hurt? You know.
I agree. And you know, one thing I gotta say is that people will buy games on PlayStation over Switch because they don't have achievements. So you're shutting yourself out of a market. Yeah. Like what? You want to do that? You know what I mean? Third parties don't want that. Like third parties don't want to have a less of a chance of selling Switch software because you don't have achievements. You know what I'm saying? So no doubt there's a whole huge market for it. And I do think that, like you're mentioning with Tears of the Kingdom, you know, with PlayStation, when you get a trophy, it'll like record the clip leading into the trophy. And I could just imagine all the crazy stuff you could do in Tears of the Kingdom and those clips being recorded and then shared on social media. And that's free advertising, essentially, for Nintendo. That is your community advertising. Look how cool this game is. You know, yeah, I beat it already, but I haven't done everything. There's other things I can still do. You know, I'm going to go and try and 100% the game because I love this game that much. I'm going to try and 100% it because that's what it takes to get the ultimate reward, which is a Zelda theme, like you said. It gives people reasons to stay longer in the games. And I will say, I'm not a trophy hunter, but I like them. And what I like about it is if I'm playing a game and I never decide if I'm going to go for a platinum before the game, it's when I'm in the game and I'm like halfway through usually. I'm like, you know what? This game is really, really good. I want to go for the platinum because I know if I do, I will see everything the developers created for this game. Mm-hmm. Nothing's left out. I did this with a handful of games like Elden Ring, God of War, Dragon Quest 11, Dragon Quest 11S. Amazing games, right? And I got to a certain point where I'm like, man, I'm going to be sad when this game's over. So I'm going to stay as long as I can, as long as it makes sense. Make sure I get the platinum trophy. Because that's actually like a roadmap for me is, hey, I know that I've seen and done everything once I get all these trophies.
Yeah.
And so
and you made a really good point, Steve, not to cut you off, but I do want to say you made a really good point about people opting in to buy other versions of the game or for a different platform. Again, I mentioned I have two friends who do that all the time. But you mentioned Elden Ring just now, and I don't know if you guys saw all the people like refusing to buy the DLC for Elden Ring, which is one of the highest rated pieces of entertainment this year because there's no trophies. And people were like, screw it. I don't care that it's the best DLC ever made. I'm not buying it.
It is wild, but it is true.
That just surprises me so much. Like I know people are so ride or die for that stuff, but like what I was saying with the avatars, it just feels like a product of the 2010s era. Like trophies and achievements feel so like, I'm kind of playing. I'm just going to play the other side here for a minute. So hear me out, right? I totally get it. And if you're an achievement hunter, great. amazing. I loved Achievement Hunter 2 on YouTube back in the day. RIP Rooster Teeth. So I just think it's a product of its time, and I think that there are there's an argument to be made that it can ruin immersion, especially in story-based games. Like when I hit the very end of Joel and Ellie talking at the end of The Last of Us, and then the bonk, the lie or something, like whatever pops up at the bottom of my screen, and they're having this deep emotional conversation, and I'm just like, what? I don't know. Go
now,
on.
I've never even looked for it, but is there a way to turn off the notifications
Yes.
for it?
I believe there is, yes. So so like that part of my argument, it could be, there's a bit of nuance to it. You can turn it off. Great. I definitely think it is I don't think it hurts the gaming experience other than what I just described. I just think that to me, it's a useless feature. And again, I think it's just like, there are a lot of incentives in Nintendo's games already to do trophy based. So like the Korok hunt, for example, is kind of like that. There's technically a little, obviously it's a poop gold thing at the end of the Korok hunt in Breath of the Wild, for example. But like there are things in other Nintendo games, and specifically their first party stuff, that incentivize you to do all those little nooks and crannies. And so if you really were somebody to do that, or 100%er, you would do that anyways. Now being a trophy person, that's one thing, or I guess achievement. It definitely incentivizes you to do other things that maybe not the game incentivizes it naturally. But I just think, I don't know. I just don't see the point in bringing it feels like you're forcing it when you bring it back at this point, because it's it feels like a product of an older time is all.
I mean, I hear you, Flavlam. I in a sense, yes, I do think it feels kind of like an older product of an older time. Mm-hmm. But I think and you made a good point about like Nintendo games already kind of incentivizing those sorts of achievements or accomplishments in game. But I think it's our nature of maybe not necessarily competitive, but wanting to show off, show off our achievements, and having something that like everyone on our friends list, or almost like a leaderboard, or
that's true,
or a scoreboard, or a ranking.
Games, I need to see your gamer score.
Yeah,
literally, that was a thing back in the Xbox. I remember me and my
high
friends.
scores. We did that growing up in the 80s and 90s in the arcades. You compete for the high score.
Initials at the end.
That was a huge thing.
Finish an arcade game.
Yeah, like with NBA Jam. Like, you always put your initials in when you go to the arcade, because you want your record to be seen by everybody.
My old Star Fox 64 cartridge still has my top 10. They're all done by me, but it has my top 10, best scores for that system. So like, that's pretty cool to look back. And achievements and trophies, they really became the modern day, here's your score highlight. And what that kind of did for PlayStation and Xbox in that era was it built a little bit of a unity with that fan base, where if you played Assassin's Creed on this system and now you have the other system, you're probably going to buy Assassin's Creed on the same system, the sequel on the same system that you already had that first achievement or trophy, because you want to continue the legacy of that. Yep. What works well in Nintendo's benefit now is if they don't do it, they're the odd one out, and it's not going to hurt them. They obviously did 145 million plus right now, and they're doing fine. But if they do, everyone's on a blank slate. Doesn't matter if you're this old school, long time history buff Nintendo gamer, or someone who's 10 years old playing for the first time, or whatever, or anyone in between. Like, that's kind of cool. And then like, look at everyone in the background has some kind of stuff, trophies, cool signs, figurines, whatnot. But not everybody is, a tangible person. I mean, look at Netflix. More people are watching entertainment via streaming than buying DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. More people are starting to buy digital games than physical. I'll always buy the physical first, even though the convenience is definitely there with digital. Undeniable. But I'll get that physical first. I like that tangible thing. But imagine this. Do you remember in Super Smash Brothers Melee? First of all, that thing had a grip of different stats. game time played, distance ran, best, farthest, longest, hitting the smash pad, play time per character, percentage wins per character. I mean, like, it had all of that. Those are basically hidden achievements on the back end of Super Mario Odyssey. You could see how much airtime did you play as Mario jumping. How long was your longest long jump? How much play time did you play on the ground? You can't access this, but that's in the back end that Nintendo knows that you could debug menu and it could see what was your highest vertical leap, and then like you could track all this stuff. So what if, going back to that Super Smash Bros. Melee analogy, you're collecting in-game amiibo, or like the Superstar Quest, and you're building up star power, and 100%ing a game unlocks a character. And you have this now digital entertainment center, this table, and that is where you're doing trophies. Or you've got like this digital wall in your background, because like the achievements, that's cool. And it gives your player score, all right, 10,070, 10,080, 11,000. All right, that's a bigger number. That's a little bit of a brag. On the PlayStation side, you know, you go from bronze to silver to gold and then next level, but it's just a static little tinted different digital trophy, right?
Yeah.
But what if on Nintendo, on the Superstar or the Amiibo, maybe, you know, and I've been debating back and forth, like, do you want to make it something that is, call it Superstar, and it's forever cemented that like it's so Mario. So like you're collecting a superstar for Street Fighter 6. So maybe that's not the best word. A star power or something like that. Like,
yeah,
you're collecting
I love
character,
these ideas. Yeah.
And that's your freaking in the background. So, you know, on Hades 2 on Nintendo Switch, when you unlock the superstar level of that game, you have a little character, and that's your 100% signifier. And your star power has just increased, and you're having digital amiibo, and it's freaking sweet. And more people are less tied into, you know, tangible stuff and like digital. I mean, old school kids, you know, I've still got my old Super Soakers. I have that old school Super Soaker XXP 175.
And with the backpack?
No backpack. But it had the 2 yellow barrels.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know, that's it. So I don't personally need it, but I like the idea of it being there. I like the idea of it being a fresh start. I like how it could be a little digital character that's a little 3D polygonal movement. Like, and Nintendo could do this so well with their own IP, and I think others would hop in as well. I mean, if you've played Astrobot's Playroom, that thing was so cool. I'm a Nintendo fan first and foremost, but I do play everything. But like that is my company. That's my IP. That's collectively my jam. But you know, I love all of gaming. But Astro's Playroom was so cool, getting to go through this classic history and jump on the controllers and interact. And that could be your new, you know, superstar room that you're building up star power or something. And then maybe for certain games, you don't get the grand figurine of Link looking awesome because you didn't get the 100%, but you got the Triforce because you achieved 50%. So you're still giving something, so nobody feels too, oh man, I couldn't do it, or you know, you don't want to get into this fatigue of, oh, I've got to do 700 meaningless tosses in a row just to collect that achievement. Just to collect. No, that's silly. But some people are like, no, that's cool. I like it. But you're still giving a cool digital reward for even someone that does the 30% mark, which probably everybody would do just by beating that game. Do 10 Hadoukens in a row. Nah, I'm not going to do that one.
Yeah.
But just playing through the game enough in Street Fighter 6 on Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to get the little Hadouken digital 3D thing. And if you do the 50%, okay, you're getting Ryu in a cool pose. And then the best one is an animated one. I mean, you could do that. And guess what? You could also have these on the Nintendo Switch 2 dock screen that is visible to show your trophies. That's just one more thing that you could have. I think they should, because I see the possibility. And if they do a fragment of what I came up with, of what we're coming up with, it's only going to be better. You know,
Yeah.
now that
No.
Nintendo Switch 2 we think is going to be closer in power. I say this because I put a post on Twitter a few weeks ago, and it blew up, and a lot of people said, I can't believe this guy thinks it's going to be as powerful. No, I said, I think Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be closer to power levels of PS5 and Xbox Series than Nintendo Switch was to Xbox One and PS4. Closer to than. That's to be seen. But when the level of the playing field is more level now, and you previously in the Wii and Wii U era didn't have all of the Final Fantasies and didn't have all of the newer Metal Gears and the Resident Evils and the Lara Croft Tomb Raiders and etc. Not that Nintendo Switch has all of them, but it has more. Now it's like, I played Assassin's Creed for the first time on Nintendo. Oh, now the next Assassin's Creed, I'm going to pick it on Nintendo because I can start fresh. That's sometimes attractive. You know, if you're jumping into the MCU now and it's like, collect the MCU movies. I've got to buy 70 movies? What? Or, oh, the MonsterVerse is really cool. You only have to watch 6. It's a sometimes a fresh start is pretty cool, and Nintendo could really
It'd be
do a
cool.
lot. And third parties, I think, would dig it. And as long as they're on board, yeah. Dude, you mean you could promote our little 3D iconic character? You don't even have to build an exclusive. I mean, you're building the character models in the game. So I'm playing both sides of, oh, but it takes too much effort to create it. Dude, you already created it for the game. A Tetris block, it's already in the game. So when you're unlocking the superstar level in Tetris whatever coming out, the new version on Nintendo Switch 2, yeah, you get that one. And then the superstar level is maybe a little, dropping animated one. That's my contribution to the whole achievement thing, because
Yeah.
I grew up without it, didn't need it, but as a game physical collector and as seeing the trend go, people like digital stuff that they own. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and just to add one last point to this is, and Paul, you're right. Nintendo does things a little bit differently, and I think that's what makes the prospect of them dipping their toes in trophies and achievements so exciting, because I feel like they would genuinely come up with a creative spin. And Nintendo, for me as a gamer, has been famous for taking things that I don't like and turning me into a big fan. A few examples of this is, I don't like battle royales. It's not my thing. But then Nintendo came along with Mario 35 and Tetris 99. And I'm like, oh, snap. I love this new take on battle royales. I never was into competitive shooters. And then Nintendo came out with Splatoon, and, huge Splatoon fan. Love the game. I love the style. Love the charm. I love the sweet mechanics that game has. So, they take a unique approach with most of the things that they do. They try and keep that kind of blue ocean strategy. And I feel like if they do dip their toes in this, it's the same strategy. And again, as someone who doesn't care about trophies or achievements, I've even found myself on PlayStation hopping in and checking out my friends, like my friends on the friend list. Like, oh, I wonder how many trophies, and I don't even care about it, but I still will compare. I'm like, oh, wow, they got 3 times as many trophies as I did. I'm like, crazy.
With
Dang,
your
they 100% did this game.
Your me walk into your friend's digital room and interact with their collection, and then be like, dude, I want that trophy. I want that amiibo. That looks so sick. You've got a Meta Ridley there. How do you get that? Oh, you needed to get to the 50% mark in Metro Prime 4. Okay. That's extra incentive. That's dope. And then you could tie it into like certain little things along the way. Maybe you're just a total noob gamer or something like that, and that's okay. But you're collecting like a t-shirt for your me, a different background for your character to wear in the icon screen. Like, right now we use our platinum points to kind of make the Nintendo Switch icons bigger and better than the base in the system. But, some of these superstars could be tied to clothing, or as, a few of you said earlier, music via themes. There's a lot that they could do.
Tons.
There's a lot.
Another thing I thought too, guys, that I would absolutely love as an old school gamer. Add achievements, or whatever you want to call them, trophies to the NSO. How cool would it be if there was a special trophy you get for knocking out Mike Tyson, or as we know, Mr. Dream? Not a lot of people can do it. That would be really cool to have that on your, your virtual achievement trophy shelf, amiibo shelf, whatever it may be. That would be really cool. And Sony already does this with their games that they add to PlayStation Premium. They add, PS1, PS2 games. Obviously, there wasn't trophy support even created yet, but they go back and retroactively will add trophies to PS1 games. Like, they have trophies for Metal Gear Solid 1, and they have trophies for PS2 games. So I think that would be really cool, but especially for Nintendo, because they have the catalog to do this. They have the IP, and the games are on their service. So you would think that people would be more interested actually in signing up for NSO and getting the expansion pack for it if you have trophies and achievements for all these games that can unlock like really cool, unique things that you could put on, as Paul was saying, on your virtual shelf. But the only way you can get them is if you have NSO and play these games and beat them. So there's just so many ways that this ties in for Nintendo to make more money, for third parties to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't said anything. I've just been sitting back listening. You guys have come up with a lot of really great ideas on how like Nintendo could make an achievement system that's really unique. Could do things like have think about some of the things they make available to purchase a platinum point sometime. Well, instead you can just get things through achievements. That would be really cool. But I also look at it as like because the original argument, there were some people saying, "Oh, are achievements getting old, or are they just a sign of their times?" And this is how Nintendo can make them fresh again. It's interesting because obviously I put a poll up where 72% of people do not think that achievements are getting kind of stale or a sign of their times. And I kind of look at games today, like my kids playing Roblox. There's achievements in Roblox, and they care about getting the achievements, and they're the couple generations below me at this point. Because my generation and a lot of us, we started with the achievements. And we think they don't matter, but then we think like, well, in Fortnite, what do they do with the achievements? They turned it into season passes
all the time,
and they have achievements on top of that. So you're trying to achieve something in the season pass to unlock things, and also you get the incentive of the actual achievements they have that also give you bonus things that help you unlock more stuff. So like achievements have actually just kind of expanded and got more important in gaming, not less. All the phone games, almost all of them have achievements in them. And it's to a point where, I don't give two flying fucks about achievements, and I never have. The only time I think I ever cared was like in World of Warcraft. There was one achievement I wanted to get that unlocked a mount that I really wanted bad, and I actually hated it because the game made me not have fun to get something I wanted. So it's like, well, okay, I'm glad I got what I wanted. Then I can now ride around in this virtual world, but also like this was dumb. I would almost rather just gave them $5 and bought the damn mount. So my thing is that while I personally have never cared about achievements, and I don't care about the e-peening with gamer scores like on 360 or how many platinum trophies you have and all that. I don't care about that crap. A lot of console warriors care about that crap. I don't. But what I do care about is gamers having something they want. And achievements is clearly something that people really enjoy. So as long as you give me the option to turn off the notification, I don't care, man. Let people have their fun. Let them collect their achievements. If you want to incentivize them the way you guys have all talked about, that's awesome. I think that's a great way to make them more appealing and feel more rewarding than just here's a score or here's a little badge you have that says you 100% of this game, like a platinum trophy. That's cool, and sure you can have that, but I like the ideas you're coming up with. I just want to note that I do think achievements are a really big deal, which is why the topic keeps coming up. And while I'll never understand the actual appeal of it, because I feel like it's just making you do shit that's not fun most of the time, And then some games give you achievements for literally everything. You took your first step in the game, achievement. Like, what the fuck? You can't play the game without taking a step. That's not an
You
achievement.
took your first shit behind that rock over there.
Oh, first game boot, diamond achievement. Like, what are you talking about? There should be an achievement to load a video game.
I agree.
It's a little ridiculous at times. But some of the achievements, I get it. Like, I understand. Well, I always kept thinking, like, hey, let's go to Nintendo games. Some of my favorite, Tears of the Kingdom. Let's say they had an achievement. And the achievement was you had to create a flying machine that went from one point to another. And let's just pretend that achievement was actually a side quest instead of an achievement. Would I enjoy it? Yeah, because it's a challenge. You're challenging me to do something you don't need to do normally. I need to fly all the way across the map without running out of battery, without my things falling apart, dealing with different aspects, running into the dragons, whatever else might be going on, right? If it was a side quest instead, I would think, man, that's badass. So for me, I think it's a lot of the fact that I have achievement burnout because of all the cheap achievements that are like, oh, you took your first step, or oh, hey, congrats, you took 10,000 steps in the game. That's great. I'd rather hear that on my watch that I took the step.
I mean, I think there's I could think of cool ones that they could do. Like you said, I think that's a great idea, the flying machine. But think Breath of the Wild. You have an option of tackling the divine beast or just going to Ganon. They could do a really cool high-level achievement that defeat Ganon without conquering the divine beasts.
Defeat a Lionel without touching the floor. Oh, dang. Smart bomb shields and hanging gliding and stuff like that. That's a really difficult one.
Yeah, see, so achievements can be really fun, and I even know that. What I like about achievements, and this was brought up a long time ago, is they do add some replayability. Like, I wouldn't give a shit about them the first time through the game, but then in a game like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, where there's infinite things to do, essentially,
you might go back.
It's kind of cool. And as a content creator, it's pretty badass to be like, hey, we're going to achieve this achievement tonight, no matter how long it takes. We're just going to.
Yeah.
You just watch at the beginning and get better and better at this weird thing. But it's hey, I just want to see that pop up that says, yeah, you defeated the Lionel without touching the ground or some shit. Like, yeah.
I'd be so curious to see, like, we already know how third-party developers, do their achievements, what kind of tasks they have you do. But Nintendo has this philosophy of fun first. Like, that is like at the forefront of their game development. So what does that look like when you have trophies or achievements in mind? And so I'd just be curious to see how Nintendo devs would approach implementing achievements and what constitutes rewarding them to a player, because I feel like fun would be at the heart of that.
Sony does a really good job with their trophies. So all the Sony first party titles. And I was going to mention too, because nobody likes the cheap trophies or achievements. They are annoying. And each developer does it different. And some purposely make games just to have cheap trophies. But I will say, like, with Sony first party, Square Enix does a great job as well. A lot of the trophies are tied to quest. That's, you got to do like, hey, if you do these 5 quests and they're all in order, the payoff at the end is going to be a special sword that you can only get by doing these quests. Think like the was it the big Goron sword?
Yeah.
Goron's mask.
Yep.
Think like that. This is why I like trophies. And this is what I was talking about before, is that a lot of the times you may not get everything in the game because you don't even know that said item exists. But because there are trophies and you look at the trophies like, only 5% of players have got this trophy. What is this? I'm interested now. How hard is it? What do you have to do? And what do you get? Oh, you get this cool item that you can equip? I had no idea. Let me find out how to do it. Now I'm spending more time in the game. Now other people, again, are looking and saying, again, only a small percentage of people have done this. I wonder why. Is it really hard? And the more time people spend in the game, the more time people talk about it. Like, think about kids at school and they're talking video games, right? Same thing. It's free word of mouth advertisement, which is more money in Nintendo's pockets and the third parties. There's a lot of potential here. And again, I hope they do it because it forces me to see things that I may not have seen. And I want to see everything when I really love a game. Like if there's a special sword in Zelda, I don't want to miss out on it.
Yeah.
If we get a Majora's Mask full-blown remake, trophies and achievements would work really well in that game with all the cool little hidden quest lines and masks and stuff.
You're right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Dude,
and you could have your trophy room, but it's a mask room for that game.
The more
you get a mask, it unlocks it in that room on a shelf.
Come around on achievements a little bit, to be honest. I even thought about I was gonna play Fortnite this weekend because like there's a new season or something launching where you can unlock a Jack Sparrow costume, and I just really like Jack Sparrow a lot, so I think it'd be hilarious to run around in that costume. And I kept thinking, like, every time I play Fortnite, they always give you, like, an option to choose, like, an achievement for each match. And I do actually try to get it every time subconsciously. It's kind of like, I think in a lot of, like, instances, like, in personal instances, like Tears of the Kingdom, yeah, like, there could be some cool stuff. But I actually, like, the more I think about it, the more I get the appeal. I think I just get tired of the games that give you all the really, really cheap achievements that, like, just shouldn't give me achievements. I think and that's never going to go away. Because people love achievement hunting and pumping their gamer scores, doing piddly bullshit for an hour. Oh, I gained 7,000 points on my gamer score for an hour. Dude, what fucking achievement are you doing in an hour? You got 7,000 goddamn points. It wasn't one achievement. It was 17,000 achievements. Like, oh, what the fuck?
I agree.
Like there are literally indie games that exist solely so people can add achievements. And you know what? More power to you indies for taking advantage of achievement.
Doritos Crash Course Adventure, baby.
Just about it.
That was it. That was the game we do that with.
It's a dopamine hit, man. Yeah. For a lot of people when they get those achievements when they pop off.
Mm-hmm. Gotta hear the ding ding ding. Some people leave the sound on their phones for all the notifications because I gotta sign up for everything because every ding on my phone means I'm important. I'm like an automated robot.
My phone's been silent for about 20 years.
Yeah. Literally, I got an iPhone here. It's got this little notch on the side. I don't think I've turned it on ever since I bought my phone.
Yeah, I won't.
I think the only time I did it was when Yulia got mad at me because I didn't answer the phone a couple times, and I was like, "All right, I'll turn it on the rest of today." And then I'm like, "Ding, ding, ding!" I'm like, "Fuck this shit."
Although when you can't find your phone,
no. Then I put the Apple Watch on, and when someone calls me, it's going. Ding. I'm like, "Okay, I get it. Someone's calling my ass."
Everyone, shh! My phone's vibrating.
The best one, I can't find my phone. She's like, "I know you have the watch." I'm like, "Okay," I answer it. Man, you sound like shit. I'm like, well, yeah, it sounds like shit through the watch.
Shout out to Nintendo for having the Joy-Con finder. That thing's awesome. Just on the side. Don't take that away. On the system, push the button and then that Pro Controller vibrates.
I'm going to tell you right now, every device that has any sort of remote or controller should have a button on the device for finding controllers and Joy-Con. You know how many people have lost TV remotes or Apple TV remotes? Or
every day. Every day.
Yeah, you should tap a thing on the button and make the damn remote make a noise, buzz, something.
The only controller, like I don't have it anymore, but I did have Dish Network for a while, and it was the only setup of controller and module in the entertainment system that if you push this button, find my remote, beep 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 beep, the controller would beep wherever it was in the house. I'm like, I don't know why not everyone does that. Like Nate said, for your Amazon, for your Roku, for your everything. It seems like such a no-brainer because everyone loses those things.
Daily.
The only controller I've never lost was the Wii U gamepad. That thing was never lost.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to lose something that's as big as the system.
I know.
You put it on the charge stand, and I'm like, I got an extra tablet over there. Oh, wait, shit. It's just the gamepad. Hey, you know what the gamepad was? One of the best smart remotes at the time.
Yeah.
I love the gamepad.
It was really confusing. Some of the organization, I don't know if you guys ever used the TV remote. Some of the organization.
I did. It's terrible.
It had a lot of cool features, but it's not organized very well. It's like, we need to put every smart TV remote feature on here, but no rhyme or order or reason. But I will say I did use it a few times. Why? Because my TV didn't have the ability to find the remote I lost. It's buried deep in the bowels of the couch somewhere. Oh man. Well, geez, one of our hosts ran away.
No, another one's going to.
And I think it's his topic coming up here too.
I heard that he ran to go get his Switch. That's all right. I'll introduce the topic.
It might have been Ennio.
It is my topic. I guess we can go to the next topic, which was, and Eric's going to dip out.
Before we go, I'm going to dip out. Before the podcast even started, I developed a massive headache. I went out and took Tylenol, and I could not shake it. And my stomach is starting to hurt, and I don't know if it was the Subway that I ate or what the hell it was.
Probably.
It tasted good.
Probably Subway.
It's not sitting well. So I'm gonna dip out. Sorry guys. Thank you guys for coming on.
Eric.
Hearts in the chat for Eric.
Feel better, man. Drink some water. Take some ibuprofen.
Yeah,
If you throw up on the way out, at least let us see.
Yeah.
I said if you throw up on the way out, at least let us see.
Yeah, at least make it a clip.
He's sitting right there. That's a really good
Need
target.
a farm TikToks here, damn it.
Fair enough.
If you're audio listeners, you can't see anything, but just make little hearts with your the little K-pop hearts. Just do that with your hand.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Yeah.
I'll go kill myself.
Projectile vomit in 3, 2, 1.
Chad, get your clip buttons ready.
Would it be creamy colored or?
Oh no, not the cream! The cream, it's come full circle. No.
I thought I was nuts. Gail, Paul Gale with the creamy throwback.
Full circle.
It's nostalgia right there.
Nostalgia's wild.
I can't tell if Nate's talking to us.
Nate,
I can't hear Nate.
You muted yourself still, or you're still muted.
I look. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I knew that I was muted, even though I was talking, because here's the thing: you guys are talking too much about the cream, and
you're just letting it happen.
Just letting it happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was
listen. When we have weeks like this where there's no big Nintendo news,
what?
We just start coming up with our own stuff.
Well, we got some good topics coming up.
Brand new.
Oh no, the topics are great. I'm just saying there's no news.
That wasn't a new let's go ahead and get to our next topic. The top 5 dormant IP we want to see come back from Nintendo.
I mean, this is like an easy. I'll let Paul. Paul already got this. He's got like 5 of them behind him.
Easy. Well, then you should go first, Glenn. What 5 are you bringing back?
No, I said Paul should go first because he's got like 5 dormant ones behind him. No, just kidding.
All right,
get it.
Activate.
Ready for this?
Yeah, hit us with them.
One of them actually combines possibly 3 or 4 games in one, and that is called Nintendo Extreme Sports Racing. You start off in an airplane and you hop out and you skydive down, pilot wings like, until you land onto the top of a mountain. Once you're on the top of the mountain, you snowboard down and you're going through a snowboarding course. The very last bit of the snowboarding course, you're going off to a ramp and you're landing on a jet ski. And you're jet skiing through the ocean waves and through this little island, getting your way back into the island, in which you go off of a ramp and you land onto your motocross bike. And then you're going through the mud and the forest and the dirt kicking up and stuff like that until you reach to the end of the lap. So it's doing Excite Bike, it is doing 1080 snowboarding, and it is doing Wave Race in one. All 3 racing games that do 3 different things, one going through mud, but traversal is primarily from back to front, going over hills. One's going from back to front, but traversal is going up and down over water physics. One is going from back to front, but primarily down, going over white bumps of mountain snow. So the overall game isn't creating 3 engines, it's creating 1 engine, but how the impact lands is slightly different in, are you going over mountains? Are you going over water, which is the most difficult one? Or are you going over mud, which throws some visual effects, and the mud's not that different than snow at this point. But the traversal, the same way. I just threw in the Pilot Wings one as a fun thing. You could play this game in the races as these grand races where you go through 8 different courses of island hopping, or in this same mountain of going down the mountain slopes, going into the water, and then going on the motocross bike back to a final finish. And that would be cool. Those are your 3 different laps, long laps, right? Kind of like Mario Kart 8's got its long laps, but this is 3 distinct ways of play. Or you could play independently in just the motocross stages, 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, if that's your jam, or just in the 8 different wave race specific stages, 8 different little island hopping kind of things, or 8 different snowboarding stages, different slopes of the mountain, different terrain, maybe a different mountain, etc. That would be a really cool game that is different enough than Mario Kart. You don't throw Mario characters in them. Maybe you have some kind of costumes, but kind of like how Splatoon wasn't Mario with squirt guns, Splatoon became its own IP.
Mm-hmm.
These 3 could kind of exist as their own extreme sports racing game, and that's why I called it the very clever Nintendo Extreme Sports Racing. And whether you're bringing back the old school characters or some new ones or a combination, I think that would be different and really neat, really fun, could exist on its own. It's not F-Zero, so if they bring back F-Zero, Nintendo used to have, I listed off 3. And Pilot Wings even had some speed-oriented things, but it wasn't a racing game. Nintendo used to have a lot of racing games. They don't have it anymore because they don't want anything to compete with Mario Kart. Mario Kart's so successful, but I don't think this would take away from Mario Kart's sales because Mario is so freaking big that
everyone on the earth already owns
there's
it.
a draw, there's a desire, a love, a want for Mario Kart 9 or 10 or 11 or whatever you want to call it. If you call home circuit 1 and live 1 or whatever, the next Mario Kart's gonna sell well and people want it and people love those Nintendo characters. But this satisfies something very different. It's not a Forza, it's not a Project Gotham Racing or a Gran Turismo. I like the heck out of this, but I'm also biased. I think we're all biased to liking Nintendo in some capacity, but I loved F-Zero back in the day. I thought the original N64 one was so good. I liked Blue Ocean a lot. I liked 1080 snowboarding a lot. Old school Excitebike, but really the N64 one, so good. Excite Truck, also good on Wii, but not as good as Excitebike maybe. But how do you bring them back in this Mario Kart world? This one thing and the different challenges, and like as you're going online, seeing someone go down that mountain over there while you're on this part of it, this live breathable island, whether it's big enough that it could be one island or small different sections so that you've got different experiences. But those are 3 right there, or unless if you want to include a Pilot Wings-esque dropping down to the mountain kind of thing, just because that would be kind of cool to like maybe you're gaining some extra speed and like the speed boost as you're going through rings from when you jumped out of the helicopter or airplane to the mountaintop. That's giving you a boost for when you start. Like all of it's on gameplay focused, and Nintendo's so gameplay focused. That'd be dope. So that's 3 or 4 right there, possibly, but throw it into one game. Next,
like it.
Kid Icarus has been gone for so long that it is Nintendo's answer to, or another answer to the Zelda genre, because now with more horsepower, imagine, Pit in this open world flying around, not just gliding, or if it's got these corridor, flying segments, kind of like Kid Icarus Uprising, which was such a good game that only a few million people played, that really could come back with, dual analog stick controls. But that's a game with the voice acting and the story of a Fire Emblem, but with a cool character with sword combat and bow and arrow stuff like from a Legend of Zelda game. But it could be big enough and open traversal as a Xenoblade. Like Kid Icarus could exist as another one of those big Nintendo characters, but he's not. The big ones are, you got Mario, Splatoon, Inklings, you've got Metroid's Samus Aran as an iconic character, despite the game's not selling on the best end. Donkey Kong, and then like Fox McCloud should come back. I think Kid Icarus should come back, and then that's my last one. My 5th final one is Star Fox. 100%. Even though I saved it for last, I kind of did it for a reason. I love Star Fox, and so many people love it because the very few that we got were so freaking good. Star Fox 64 left an impact on me for life. That pairing with the Rumble Pack, going to air shows that summer and seeing the Harrier come off and go off at real air shows and playing Star Fox 64, the two are just ingrained in me for life. I used to take my dad's beeper, and I take his beeper in the summer leading up to Star Fox 64 coming out. I put it in, call it real quick. I'd be like, oh man, this is what Rumble technology is going to be like. I can't wait. And I call it again. Like, that's the stuff I do. And, it was just amazing. So
I love it.
Star Fox, it is Nintendo's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I don't know why it's taking so long for them to realize it. Like, you've almost got to take a little bit of a page out of Insomniac Games' book and imagine the next Star Fox being like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where it's a lot of Fox McCloud on ground in the Lilat system, taking orders from General Pepper, communicating back to the Star Fox base, having banter back and forth with Peppy, Slippy, Falco, etc. You're going on different missions. You're collecting different power-ups, different blaster, laser cannon, stuff that you've seen in Smash Bros. But then you're flying off into Arwing, and then you've got this badass music going through the Lilat system, and you've got these classic
do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll.
It could even just be like a pilot sim. Like, you could just take a note from what's that? The new Star Wars pilot sim kind of game. Like
Starlink did it really well.
Yeah.
So you got to have some on foot stuff because I would buy it for $60, $70. 100%. I don't care. You give me a 15 world shooter that's corridor from front to back and a couple of wide, all range mode. I'll buy it because I love Star Fox. But to capitalize on the cool factor of these talking cartoony characters, because a lot of people love talking animals. I mean, look at Ninja Turtles, look at Ratchet and Clank, look at a lot of movies that come out. Talking animals are cool, and like the Fox McCloud characters are awesome. Yeah. With a cool style, whether it's a puppet style or an anime style, you launch that thing along with the new show. A show would work so well. A new amiibo line, man. Forget about this Arwing having pointy edges, dude. And I've got pointy edges on some of these guys in here. That's how you do Star Fox. Online, 4-player, co-op, having the ability to go with 3 friends through the story mode at the same time for the flight missions, online aerial dogfighting versus mode.
I hope Doug Bowser's listening right now.
It's the coolest thing that they gotta do. It's how you make it.
Can I make a suggestion, Paul? Because I love the idea, and I'm on the same exact page as you. I've been wanting a Star Fox that takes from Ratchet and Clank, maybe a stronger emphasis on space battles and space travel than Ratchet and Clank, but still having that kind of like, traveling this galaxy, different planets, a little bit more character and story driven, maybe than we've typically gotten in previous Star Fox games. But I'm really glad we didn't get this on Switch because I want Switch 2 to have a speaker on the controller. And I want to hear the characters' voices talking in the comms. Yeah. Come on, Fox. There's a bogey on you.
All you have to do is sign up to the Nintendo Switch Online voice chat app on your iPhone or your Android, and then you too could participate in this.
You brought up the idea of the TV show or the game promoting the TV show or vice versa, right? And then there's a case study. There's a very recent case study that is very possible and very it can work with Cyberpunk, the Cyberpunk anime.
Oh my gosh!
I think Cyberpunk Edge Runners single-handedly brought that game back to life for like a while because the initial launch of Cyberpunk was a very big disaster, unfortunately. But they patched a lot of that stuff, and the game is it's very good. It's fantastic. The DLC is great, but a lot of people who were in that initial wave lost out, like stop. I know I was one of them. I revisited the game after watching the anime, and I was like, oh, this game is fixed, and I'm actually having a good time with it. Because my first I was streaming it. It was so bad I could not play through it. But the point is, though, it's very you do a Fox or you do like a Fox anime or Star Fox anime, right? Or any kind of television show that has like a little bit more deeper meaning than just like kind of how they did the Mario movie. Like, not saying that the Mario movie is bad. I'm just saying the Mario movie is very surface level. You do something that gets that really hits that deeper kind of audience. And I think anime would be a beautiful style for that.
Just like an epic space opera.
Yeah. Well, and you could also use the, oh my God, what is it called? It's on Disney Plus. There's a series. I think I brought this up on the podcast before. There's a series of Star Wars episodes. They're all independent of each other, but they're all done by different anime studios.
Visions.
Star Wars Visions. It's on Disney Plus. It's very good. Definitely recommend it. But you could do something like that, and I think it'd be a really successful series. Not necessarily doing the separate episodes. I'm just saying like the different anime styles you could do is kind of endless. Anyways, I found it really interesting that you brought that up, Paul. And I think that's an excellent marketing strategy for sure. And again, I hope Doug Bowser is listening.
That did, and to your point, Favlam, that didn't just work for Cyberpunk. There was a massive boost in sales for Fallout 76 and growth in Fallout 76 users. A game that's not as
I didn't even think about that, and that's even
after
more
the Fallout
relevant.
show.
Yeah,
because it just happened. So another great point. But Paul, I love your Fox idea. It's our Star Fox game idea. I want it so bad that it hurts.
That game, like Mario and Zelda, are my two favorite franchises, and Street Fighter, like right there is my top 3 overall. But Star Fox, like if I had to pick a game that please be on Nintendo Switch 2, it's that one that I, envision. Because part of that is because I know there's going to be another Zelda. I know there's going to be another Mario. I am dying to see next gen, high fidelity, 3D quality, beautiful looking Mario in this amazing world, because Nintendo's going to just be the cream of the crop when it comes to. I hope you got that. No one laughed. Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
I got it.
Okay. They're going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to these models and these shaders and being closer to looking like the Mario film, and Zelda with, what kind of art style they're going to go with, animated again or Wii U Tech Demo 2011 again. But I know I have faith in those. So not that I don't want them any more than I do, but I really want that Star Fox because it's such a good underused IP that really could do well. I mean, it's Nintendo's Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's a hot squad. That is a cool squad that exists on their own. Some people like Hulk, some people like Spider-Man, but some people like the X-Men. Yeah, the X-Men. That's like a Star Fox. It's a team. It's a team-based thing, and there's strength in those kind of like, this is small enough that I could get in, big enough that the universe is vast. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got it off
the pitch. I know he's got it out there. We need to clip this. We need to mail it to Doug, and then the game. We'll see it. We'll see it on Switch too. Maybe it won't be till 2030, but we'll see it.
Oh wait.
Could I go through?
Paul's like, I'll wait all my life for this thing. I'm ready.
Can I go through my 5 real quick? I don't have descriptions for all of them except for the last one where I have a vision for, but these are just ones that I'd like to see. Maybe you guys have a little bit more to add other than Nintendo just bringing these games back. We were talking about EMEO earlier, disappointment around it not being a true Nintendo horror game. Eternal Darkness is, it's got a cult following. It's really neat. It had that sanity system in it that we don't get in horror, because I believe they trademarked that system.
They did. You're
right. So if Nintendo was able to just get the rights to use that and somehow put a team together to revisit or even do a full-blown remake in the way that Capcom has done with Resident Evil, I think that would be sick. The next game on my list, or I don't know if you guys want to add anything to Eternal Darkness.
I love the pick. I love the game.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it come back. So totally on board with you.
Hell yeah. Another one. Earthbound. And I'm not just talking Mother 3. I'd love to see a modern stab at the Earthbound series. I love RPGs. I'm a huge fan. One of my most anticipated games for this year. Not a Nintendo game, sadly. Or Echoes of Wisdom is my most anticipated game of the year, just to be fair. But probably my second is
I can guess it.
Metaphor Refantasio.
Yeah, that
you know,
looks so good.
from the creators of Persona 5, 4, 3. I think Persona has really made the kind of modern day like setting RPG really cool and neat, and thinking about Nintendo kind of applying some of the things that we've seen in that, some of the social mechanics. I mean, they bled that stuff into Fire Emblem with 3 houses, and that was sick. For me, that's the best Fire Emblem game. So I'd love to see them do a modern take on Earthbound and see all the cool kind of social elements and neat little things that they'd come up with in today's gaming age. Next one, this is kind of an odd one maybe, but Sin and Punishment. The last one we saw was on the Wii, but I don't want an on-rails Star Fox game. I want what Paul Gale pitched. So for on-rails and Nintendo to do something fun and experiment with, I'm choosing Sin and Punishment. Just a cool little game. I know it's a lot more niche, a lot less people play it, but if they could do something really cool with it, something neat, maybe it's even a budget title, but I would like to see that one come back. I had Star Fox on here, but I'm not going to go over that one because Paul did. So instead, I'm going to swap it out last minute for a NES Remix 3 or SNES Remix. Now, we just got Nintendo World Championships coming out, and I think that's really cool. But if I had to pick between the two, I would have loved an NES Remix 3 or a Super Nintendo Remix, and just see like all the wacky things that they could do revisiting those games that we grew up with, or some of us grew up with at the very least, and played. And adding some online cool multiplayer elements. That would be really fun. And then my last one, and this is the one where I kind of have a pitch for it. And I feel like this might be a little bit divisive because I feel like a lot of people won't like this pitch. But this is just me. F-Zero. However, I would love to see a brand new take on F-Zero. And this is something that I pitched to Andres, I think like 2 years ago on his podcast. And he thought it was really cool. He said, I think it should be a separate game, but he thought it was really cool. And I feel like Captain Falcon has become more famous than the F-Zero series because of Smash Brothers. We all know Captain Falcon is a bounty hunter, kicks ass, but we never get to experience that in games. So I've
bounty hunter, but yeah, actually, I didn't
there you
know
go.
That, but that's cool.
Fair enough. See, there you go. So I would love the idea of a game that's built where it's a mix of racing and a mix of the bounty hunting. Think like this big cyberpunk kind of sci-fi open world Forza Horizon, where you're just out in this big open world, entering races, entering Grand Prix, but it kind of has a little bit of that Batman Arkham City, Arkham Asylum element, where you're countering and kicking ass, and it has a little bit of like cyberpunk noir storytelling. Maybe when you're driving, it has this cool narration overlaying the setting where it's Captain Falcon talking about his last case or his next case, or some broad sitting in the bar meeting shady figures. And there's this really cool dark noir cyberpunk bounty hunter setting that ultimately leads to this huge Grand Prix corrupt corporate takedown, whatever. I haven't fleshed out the whole story and stuff, but I love this Forza Horizon, the idea of this Forza Horizon open world, just randomly entering these crazy street races and taking out thugs and criminals and corrupt whatever. I think it's really cool. And the cool like counter system, and actually seeing Captain Falcon punching and Falcon kicking his way to victory.
Totally. There was a cartoon show back in the day, but didn't really focus on Captain Falcon, but it was called F-Zero GP in like the early 2000s, 2002, 3, 4, 5-ish, but 100% on board with that. Showing his moves, punch, kick. Oh, man.
Yeah, Forza Horizon meets the Batman. I can't say Batman. First it was
Batman
Bartman, then it was
Arkham
Batman. the Arkham series meets Forza Horizon, I think would be sick. So you get those two sides of it.
And maybe you want to play in race by race by race as an option, like maybe after you unlock them, but have the grand game be this grand game.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have a hard cutoff in about 5 minutes. So mine are more like I would like to see a sequel to. I mean, I guess that's kind of the question, but I have some fast ones. A classic answer. Banjo and Kazooie. We gotta get that. We gotta get that three.
Yeah.
I'll die if that happens.
That would be really cool. That would be a really. I think imagine like a Banjo Kazooie game with the tightness of like Mario Odyssey and like that like speedrun platform potential. I think that would go. I think people would clamor for that. Next up, a sequel to the Pokemon Coliseum game series. I think these are a very strong series. They're very different in the core gameplay loop. All double battles. You're actually stealing Pokemon back from bad guys. So you're like stealing them, but not stealing them. I think there's a lot of cool features in this one that really made this game stand out for me. Double battles do get slightly tiring, but I think double battles are honestly the superior way of like they're more challenging inherently because of the nature of them, and so I enjoy that a lot. Yeah, another Pokemon game, Poke Park. I love the Poke Park series, and I think it is a woefully underrated series. I think the first game is pretty like it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's like all right. The second game is on my shelf over there, fantastic, and you could definitely 100% do a third one because there's been 3 new regions since the second one. 3, yeah, 7, 8, 9, yeah. So you could easily incorporate a ton new Pokemon, make it feel really good. Yeah, it's a cool game. 2 more. Mario Sports Mix. Really enjoyed this game. I remember getting this for my mom got me and my brother this for Valentine's Day growing up. Very fun. Get all the sports you don't got on Switch Sports or what we haven't made an individual thing about already. But the dodgeball in this game is what I loved the most. Dodgeball and the hockey. Those are the 2 most fun ones. Sequel to this would be pretty cool. And maybe that could be a launch title gimmicky type thing for Switch 2. I don't know. Just an idea. Last but certainly not least, dude, Nintendo Land fucks so hard. Like it is so underrated, and it is a shame that it came out on the Wii U and we haven't gotten a sequel to it because this is an awesome party game. Every game in this game slaps, except for maybe the single player. But even the single player ones are fantastic. Like every game in this game is fantastic, and you will have at most at least a good first impression of. If not, you're going to play Mario Tag. I think it's called Mario Chase for literal hours. Dude, this game, it is criminal. It does not have a sequel because man, it deserves one.
That's such a great suggestion, Flam. Yeah.
Those are Mario Chase. Those would be my 5, at least based on what I have on my shelf. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that Mario Chase game in there, weeks of fun with friends. We'd get groups with 5 of us together and just play the shit out of that game.
I think my favorite feature was the fact that you had a little like selfie cam, like you were a little streamer, but the camera was so bad. So it'd always be this like smudged, awful, like 480p looking disgusting, and you're like pogging out of your mind as you run through the course. Oh, so great. It was awesome. It was fantastic. 100% recommend it. Anyways, I'm going to take my leave because I unfortunately I have my day job in the morning. So it was wonderful being on the podcast again. As always, Paul, it's great seeing you. Seeing you Game Break Classic. I see Thunderstash and Nate all the time, but yeah, it's good seeing you guys as well.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah, of course. Only thing I'll plug is I got a YouTube channel, and we just finished. I did a walkathon for Luigi's Mansion. I walked a literal marathon. I walked 24 miles throughout my entire play. I walked the entire time while playing Luigi's Mansion.
Wow.
2.
That's cool.
We will have a video about that very soon, so feel free to subscribe. Anyways, y'all have a fantastic night, and I will see you guys next time whenever I'm on the podcast.
Have a good night, man.
Take it easy,
everybody.
man.
Of course.
Awesome. I can go next with my top 5.
Hell yeah.
I'm ready to go. One was brought up in a super chat. I'll just bring this up quick. From Taker 600 brought up Wave Race and Punch Out. Wave Race needs to come back. It just needs to. It just look. We can talk about Punch Out all we want, and I understand it's been a while, but at least there's been something in the last 20 years.
Right. True.
We need some Wave Race, man. We need it bad. It needs to be on there. How about some Ice Climbers? I feel like Smash really brought them back and made them popular again, and most modern gamers have no idea where they came from.
Dude, I imagine an Ice Climbers that has like a horribly tragic story, kind of plays like Uncharted climbing and cliffhanging, and someone dies and it's like screaming, reaching out. No,
that'd be funny.
Yeah. This one is an often requested, never going to happen, at least while the original creator is alive. A new Earthbound game.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen because iToy's got no interest in it and doesn't think it needs to exist. But again, he's not going to live forever, and Nintendo might decide to. Look, you can even reboot it, reboot the IP if you need to. A new creator. I really want to see it come back. I don't know if it'll ever be what it once was, but it certainly would interest me. I've got one that's a little bit of a cheat because it's like a twofer. It's like a 2-in-1, but it'll make sense. Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley.
Yeah.
Let's bring back some light gun action. Dude, those games were the bomb back in the day. Arcade, cool, but dude, that's not where the memory came from. It was the light gun with the NES on your CRT TV. Those games, damn, like they need to come back. Look, they put the Duck Hunt guy, the dog, in the damn Smash game. Let's go. It's time.
Exactly.
Let's bring it back. I miss it. You figure with all of the random accessories Nintendo does, we would just have new ones of these, and no, we don't. So let's go. Then one of the greatest RPGs of all time, Star Tropics. Needs to come back. Now, there were 2 of them, and I get it. No one cares about the second. It wasn't that great. But the first one was amazing. Bring it back. Like everyone talks about Chrono Trigger, and everyone that's fine. But Star Tropics hasn't had a game for even longer than Chrono Trigger. So let's bring it back. I'm sorry, I'm digging into the well. That's the point of this topic. It's my well, and it needs to be filled. There you go. That's my 5. I don't know. What's up? 6, technically. Because it could be Hogan's Alley. It doesn't be Duck Hunt. Give me Hogan's Alley. Give me the new Hogan's Alley. It'd be sweet.
All right.
Be cool.
I'll jump into this. So a lot of mine were, of course, said.
Yeah.
But I have some backups in place, so we can have some variety here. So I have to say Earthbound, of course. I love Earthbound. Always have. However, what I was thinking specifically is a Earthbound HD 2D remake. There's 2 games that I'd love to see get that treatment, and that is Earthbound and Chrono Trigger. But since we're talking first party Nintendo, if we're not going to get a new Earthbound, dude, let's do a HD 2D remake. I think it would be perfect. Next, I want Kid Icarus. I just want it. It was one of my favorite NES games growing up. I still love the game. The music is something that sticks with me my whole life. The Kid Icarus, the title theme, it's just so good. Wave Race, no doubt. I absolutely love Wave Race. And, I agree with you, Paul. I said this actually probably a few episodes ago that I believe Nintendo doesn't release other racing games anymore. They just want to funnel everybody to Mario Kart. And I get their business strategy. I do. I understand it. So I know the odds of getting this, especially a jet skiing game, because I don't think jet skiing is as popular as it was in the 90s and 2000s today. Although I wish it was.
Should be.
It should be. I agree. It should be. I would love to see it though. And, Wave Race, man, to this day, I feel like nothing beat the way the water physics felt in that game. It felt so good to ride a jet ski. And that's just something that it's wild that it hasn't been topped today. And I know there's not a lot of games where you're actually controlling a watercraft in the water, but there are games, and Wave Race still did it best. I did have Star Tropics on my list. However, I'm going to go with an alternative for an RPG, and we just got this on the NSO for the GBA. Let's get a new Golden Sun. That would also be a really good series for the HD 2D treatment. I think it would fit in real nice. And I'd like more people to see those games, honestly. And last but not least, I guess, again, we're not going to get any racing games. So we're not going to get Diddy Kong Racing, even though I love it. And Nintendo and Rare seem to be getting along, Microsoft these days. I'm going to go Pilot Wings. I really love Pilot Wings, especially Pilot Wings 64. Another one of those games that, like, if you watch any videos on my channel where I'm basically unboxing new games and going over my game collection, you'll hear in the background Pilot Wings music. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Love that soundtrack. It's classic. And the game was obviously very fun. So those are my top 5 dormant IPs. Love to see them. Would love to see them.
Those are good. I like that. That was good. All right, we can probably get into our last topic. What do we got, Thunder Steve?
All right, so we got the top 5 third-party games that we want to see on Switch 2 that, are currently out on other consoles. So these are games that can be ported over. And these are games that are currently released. So I'll start it off. Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy. Bring it on.
Coming hard.
I think it would sell great on the Switch. If we go back to the old days when the breakup kind of happened between Square, back when they were Squaresoft, and Nintendo, because they went cartridge based, and then Final Fantasy VII ended up being PlayStation instead of Nintendo 64 because of that. It would just be so cool to see that kind of full circle of getting Final Fantasy VII Remake over on the Switch, the trilogy. And, keep in mind, Square's always very open about how disappointed they are when their games don't hit the sales mark. And you got a real opportunity to bring these to Nintendo and fix that. So would love to see it. My next one, I think I'll go with the Resident Evil remakes. Resident Evil 2, 3, Resident Evil 4. They can all come to Switch. And do we know what the next one is? Is it Code Veronica they're working on? Is that the latest that we heard for the next remake?
I believe that's the root. I feel like I heard it was either Zero or Code Veronica.
Yeah. So look at that again. Nintendo and Capcom, they have a great relationship. It makes sense. And just port them on over. Why not? They're going to sell, and I would love to have them. And I love the Resident Evil games, so that'd be great. Here's one from Rockstar I'd like to see. We have Red Dead Redemption, okay? Bring us Red Dead Redemption 2 running at 60 frames per second, because you can. I truly believe, not knowing the specs of the Switch 2, but if you had Red Dead Redemption 2 on the last gen consoles on PS4, and the Switch 2 is going to obviously be more powerful than that, I think we can do 60. Between that, the more powerful hardware and the DLSS, I think 60 can be achieved. Now, if you guys don't know, like, we don't have 60 frames per second for Red Dead 2 on any console. They never patched it. They never did a PS5 boost. They never did anything for Xbox. It still runs at 30. So I think it would be hilarious if the only Red Dead game, Red Dead Redemption 2 for Switch, ran at 60 frames per second. If that was the one that runs the best. Yeah, but the thing is if like they're gonna actually have to port it over or kind of like build some things possibly from the ground, not from the ground up, but I think it would be more than a port if they brought it over. I think the opportunity is there to make it 60. Whereas Red Dead on PS4 and Xbox, they haven't touched it. But with this, you have an opportunity to give us 60. I think that would sell amazing. All right. Next, I got to go with Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts. I mean, come on. When Kingdom Hearts was first announced back in the day, it came out on PS2. I remember seeing this and I'm like, man, this would just be so perfect on a Nintendo console. This would sell so well on Nintendo. It's unfortunate, I always thought at the time, that it's only on PlayStation. Even as a kid, like I was in high school. I'm like, this is a missed opportunity. I knew it was immediately. It's like, come on, Disney and Nintendo. This is perfect, man. And we don't want the cloud version. Everyone knows that. Nobody wants the cloud version. We want Kingdom Hearts. We want them all. And we want them to be physical as well. So that would be cool. Again, easy money right there to bring that over. And then last but not least, I think I got to dig in to the Microsoft well, because I do think we're going to continue to see Microsoft explore other platforms, especially Nintendo. And I guess I got to go with, there's two first-person shooters I'm thinking of, but let's go with bring over Halo. Why not? Bring them all over. People will buy them. I think it would be really interesting to see. It's, Halo is no longer the Xbox flagship. It hasn't been for some time, in my opinion. And so it's not like Mario going to PlayStation or Zelda, or God of War coming to Nintendo. It's not on that scale. It's still a big deal, though. So I'd love to see Halo come over. Those are my 5 games that I'd like to see, and I think most of these could happen. Paul, what do you got?
You said some of mine, but I'm going to come up with... I do have some other ones. One of them you didn't say, fortunately. A couple of them you did, but I agree. So, first up, I'm a huge Street Fighter guy, so I need Street Fighter 6. Am I double or triple dipping? Yeah, whatever. I want my Street Fighter 6 on the go. I think that there could be something unique if Nintendo has, Sheik as a playable character or something. I don't know if they're going to dive into that, because they currently don't have any console exclusivity like the Soul Calibur 2 days or the Soul Calibur 3 days with Yoda and Darth Vader. So, they don't have that. They are getting Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury into Street Fighter 6, but that's still it's going to be on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. So I don't know if they would have something like that for a Nintendo release of it. Maybe not, probably not, but at the very least, Street Fighter 6 portable mode, and for people that are new to it, a whole bunch of stages included and all this other junk. Next up, it's kind of older, but it's another Capcom game, because I think there's something you could do with it, and that's Devil May Cry 5. Not special edition, but Link edition or something. I eat up whenever Nintendo allows a third party access to Zelda stuff, like when they let Sonic the Hedgehog dress up as Link on Wii U and go through with Hyrule music, in Monster Hunter, letting your character dress up as Link. In it was Diablo 3, the Ganondorf pack. Skyrim, being able to get the Master Sword and Shield. Giving Bayonetta 2 a whole bunch of Princess Peach and Star Fox, Fox McCloud, Link costumes. So, including the Arwing in it. So, Devil May Cry 5, it's older, but if you have Dante, inclusion of, we had like the Mega Man, Power Blaster power up. So why couldn't it have a cool Master Sword or Link garb tunic, something small like that, a different skin? So we know that it's not like a rated M thing holding them back. They would do it. It just doesn't make sense. Is it popular enough of a game that's older that would still be worth anything? And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem that Wii U had, was like, yeah, we get Batman Arkham City. That thing came out a few years ago. Well, now we get Assassin's Creed 3. But so it was a little bit of that. But and then like Devil May Cry 5 is not even a PS5 game. That's a PS4, Xbox One game. So it doesn't matter as much. But with some Nintendo incentive in there, it could. Next, this is something that Nintendo Switch already has, but I would like these two companies. Actually, it's the one company. It's Warner Bros. For both. Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy, free upgrade. The different quality build version. A lot of the games that run on Nintendo Switch, they run just fine and competently so compared to their PS4, Xbox One counterparts. I actually like Doom just fine on Nintendo Switch. Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, another one just fine. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that's one that was the same, but eventually they had a PS5, Xbox Series X version that souped it up. But in the case of Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy, they are two very different builds. So could they give some kind of, if you have the game, you could download this patch. Maybe it's free, maybe it's not, maybe it's $10, and that would be fair. But to bring it like a lot of these Nintendo games, maybe that'll be free, maybe there'll be some paid in resolution increases, some little frame rate increases, but I'm talking, no, you're upgrading to a different version. So am I picking two as kind of a cop out? I mean, yeah, I think they're still valid, even though they're not completely new, but the new builds, like I fully expect Fortnite to have its new build on Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, it's still using Unreal Engine 5, but it just looks a little bit different now than the PS5, Xbox Series X versions, than the Xbox One, PS4 ones. And the last one, well, if you don't count those two, then I have three more. If you do, then I have one more. And that's Yakuza Like a Dragon. Just to show that, hey, here's a series that hasn't been on a Nintendo platform ever. So this is setting the foundation from the get-go. We've got it all. And you don't need another system anymore. We've got it all. If I had to pick two more, the popular choices, Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, just because those have been a couple of the heavy hitters within the last half a decade. And I just stole Nate's probably. I think that's why he's like, that's fine. I had a feeling. And with those, throw in the Nintendo stuff too. Give me the Link costume and the Master Sword and whatever, and Elden's Ring and Baldur's Gate 3. Like, easy.
Like they did with Skyrim.
Yeah. Is it cheap? Some would say yeah, but a lot of people would be like, dude, that's cool. I'll double dip. Or I didn't have that system. This will be my first time, and I get the Nintendo stuff that I love. So yeah, those are my 5 or 3 plus 2 is still 5 or 7, depending. We're not talking about other games, by the way, because I would say first, most important, Grand Theft Auto 6. But that's not the question, right? We're asking out now that we would like to come over, not in general, but that would be that answer is that's the most important one is if it's a launch title or day and date or some other capacity, you show up with GTA 6 on it, not 6 years later, none of this stuff. That's a powerhouse decision.
That'd be huge. I know Nate wants that bad.
Yes. Yes.
I think Grand Theft Auto 6 as a single game would be more important than every year getting a Madden. That's how big I think GTA 6 is. And that's saying a lot because having a Madden 25, a Madden 26, a Madden 27, Madden 28, you know, giving up like 7 years worth of Maddens or 7 years worth of FIFAs or 7 years worth of NBAs. I mean, that's a lot. But, you know, you've got a 200 million selling game in Grand Theft Auto 5 and 6 is probably going to be that. And if Nintendo Switch 2 is even relatively successful, 100 million, which is that's monstrous successful. You're going to have a good 20 million selling on that system. Okay, too much.
I agree.
Go, Nate.
Jeez.
Talking different topics now.
Okay. Look, there's a lot of games, a lot of third-party games that aren't on Switch. And when I'm talking about wanting these games to come over, it's more so obviously for Switch 2, because I think I just want better performing versions of these games. What about Monster Hunter World? Like we talk a lot about Wilds coming up. What about World? We never got that on Nintendo. Why not? Let's bring it over. I'm gonna have one cop out on this list because we already know it's coming. Call of Duty. Want it? We already know it's coming though. That's the thing. Like the contract's in place. We know it's coming, but still, we don't have it. I want it. That's two. That's two right there. All right. Throw some other ones out there. This one's gonna sound weird, but it is something I play, and I play it exclusively on PC. World of Warcraft. I would love to see World of Warcraft on Switch 2. It is technically playable with a controller. It's not the best way to play, but you could use a mouse and keyboard. It's fine. Just as an option. I would like that. And on the go, if I happen to be connected to the internet, let me play. And if you want to stick to that sort of thing, you can get into things like Destiny 2. Let's get that over. Why not? How many I'm at? Is that like 3, 4, 5? I don't even know where I'm at. I'll just keep going. How about college football? I've been playing it the entire damn podcast. People wondering what I've been doing every time I'm looking away. I'm playing college football. Well, because to be fair, a lot of it's just team management, so it's not like actually that distracting. But college football 25, which again, you pair that with Madden. Let's go. It's time. It's just I like sports games, and I love that we've been getting NBA 2K.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say I love that we've been getting FIFA/FC, but then I like the real version. That being said, I'll just combo those together because I kind of feel like college football and Madden kind of go together, even though you can't what the most fun thing to do in college football games back in the day was. You get your recruiting class to get drafted into the NFL, and you can't do that. Why? Because now they pay college athletes. And so because of it, it's a contract issue. Thanks! You made the game worse by paying. It's okay. The college athletes should be paid, especially with how much money the school makes off of them. But anyways, and most of the money comes from like sponsorships or whatever. And if Nike and they want to throw their money away, that's their choice. But to go with a fifth one, I was thinking long and hard about this. There's a lot of franchises out there, and the Switch has been an interesting generation because it's gotten a lot of games. And one game it got that shocked everyone at launch was obviously Skyrim, right? Like it just shouldn't have been that shocking because the game is pretty old at that point. It obviously could run on Switch, but it still was kind of surprising because there wasn't a lot of that Bethesda support at the time. And obviously that led into getting the Doom and Wolfenstein and all that. The next Elder Scrolls game. I want that so bad. I mean, I'm going to play it regardless. I don't even know if I'm going to play it on Switch 2 or whatever. If it was there, I might play it on a different platform. But think about how well that game would sit in with the Switch's audience and the Switch 2's audience. The people that play Zelda. of 30 million people that play that game and played The Witcher 3 on Switch and played obviously Skyrim. It just feels like the right game that would fit right in with that audience. And we talk about, how GTA 6 could sell 5, 10, 20 million on Switch. Who really knows? This game could legitimately be a 5 to 10 million seller for them easy on this platform because the audience wants games like it. And Nintendo only gives us one franchise like that. Just one. They give us the one. We want more. Well, we got to look to third parties for that. So let's go. Let's make it happen. I mean, I was going to say the next Witcher game because there's one in the works, but we literally got Witcher 3. So I think there might be an expectation for that. And I understand we got Skyrim, but again, Skyrim was a pretty old game at the time we got it. So I don't know if anybody expects it, especially after Microsoft bought the studio. So we'll see. But I do like that Nintendo and Microsoft are kind of chummy.
Sure.
So do I.
So we'll see. See what happens.
I think that game would be definitely ideal. You said sell 5 to 10 million.
Yeah.
I would say no problem. For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we're all buying it.
Audience, that'd be great. That'd be great. And if that comes out in an off year from a major Zelda game, even better.
Yeah.
That'd be so
totally. Perfect. Yeah, that'd be amazing. My 5 games, they've all been named except for one. But I'm gonna say them anyways, just because I think they've all been named except for 2. Three of them got named. But I'm gonna say them anyways, just because they are legitimately things that I really want to come to Switch 2, and they're games that I already have them, but I'll double dip. So the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy was mentioned. Love those games. It's been such an amazing blast to the past, and seeing this game that was so special growing up reimagined today with the orchestrated music, the enhanced dialogue, and seeing these places that we all traveled to as kids and stuff fully realized in this breathtaking visuals has been a very special experience, to say the least. So that's one that I really want. The next one that got mentioned was Elden Ring. Elden Ring's up there for me, probably in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I always say my number one favorite series, it's not even close, is Zelda. Diehard Zelda fan, but if I had to pick a number 2, it's the From Software Souls series, and I include Bloodborne and Elden Ring with that series. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. I love those games so much. So I would love to see Elden Ring. Hell, even bringing Dark Souls 2, 3, and Bloodborne over to the Switch would be a godsend. But Elden Ring especially, it just got that brand new DLC that's kind of taken everyone by storm. So it'd be really cool to see that. The next one, I was actually surprised to hear this one mentioned because I thought that this was going to be an odd pick from me, but Paul threw this one out there, and that is another one of my favorite series of all time. That's a non-Nintendo series, and that's the Yakuza series. Paul mentioned Like a Dragon. I'd love to see the entire series come over to Switch too, but Like a Dragon kind of not really reboots it, but it created a new kind of entry point for people who maybe don't have the time to play the first giant log of games in the series. And so they have Like a Dragon and then Infinite Wealth, the sequel to Like a Dragon that, did phenomenal gangbusters, tons of 10 out of 10s. The next one, this one's a little bit cheating because it's not out yet, but it comes out this year. And you'll see a theme. There's a heavy RPG theme here. Metaphor ReFantasio. I love me my RPGs. Games like Persona, it blows my mind they didn't come to Switch sooner, because I'm sure if we got the full numbers, that game did exceptionally well on Nintendo's platform. People love playing RPGs on Switch, and having a game like that that's super long with tons of investment time, being able to take those experiences on the go and play them elsewhere is awesome. My fifth one, I'm going to add a sixth game as a bonus. since 3 of mine were already said. But my 5th one is Diablo 4. Paul, you mentioned Diablo 3 and how that's on the Switch. That's actually where I played most of Diablo 3, and I have that game on PC and PlayStation as well, but I played the most of it on Switch. I'd play at my buddy's house. We both play. He'd be on his Switch, I'd be on mine. We'd just like chat, shoot the shit, and play Diablo 3 and have a blast. Diablo 4 did really well. It's had a little bit of complaints about it, but they've done some patches and updates, kind of like Diablo 3, where the game's kind of turned around. People are looking at it a little bit more positively now. Give that game some extra legs on Switch 2. That game would be killer there, just running around, looting, destroying demons. I don't know, like ARPG style games, those Diablo style games to me just seem like a perfect fit for on the go. Because they're very easy to like drop in and drop out, do a quick dungeon run, hop out, finish a couple quests, hop out. And then my bonus game, Cyberpunk. It was a game with a rocky start. They got things patched up. They put out a killer anime that boosted sales, and then they dropped DLC that got Game of the Year nominations, and they got nominated for a few different categories. I think best continuing or best supported game that really turned that game around. And you, Nate, you mentioned Witcher 3 on the Switch. That seems like an impossible port. We see how well that was done on the Switch. So to think of what maybe you put some money, put some effort into a Cyberpunk, not knowing the power right now of Switch 2, what we could expect from a Cyberpunk port on Switch 2 is really cool. And I think that game would be awesome. Heavy RPG themes for me, Western RPGs and JRPGs, but that's what I'd like to see. That's
a great list. I would buy all of those. And just to add on to what you said about the Final Fantasy VII remake, it has been very, very special to revisit these characters. The story was always just so good in that game. The soundtrack, hearing it orchestrated, seeing these locations come to life the way they have, because this is a very grandiose scale game. Like seeing some of the vistas are just like, oh my God, this is wild. Like I had to show my girlfriend screenshots. I'm like, babe, this Final Fantasy VII on PS1. And I'm showing her like a picture of Cloud and Barrett. I'm like, here they are now. She's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. Like, so that's why I get like a little giddy playing this game, because this is wild. Like, this is not something you can even imagine as a kid. Like, it's scaling to where it is today. And it's just been so special. Like, I poured in over, I think about like 230 or 40 hours into Rebirth. And like, I pretty much like went on a social media blackout, and I kind of planned to when Rebirth came out. Cause I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to have the opportunity to do this again with a game. We'll see. But oh my God, I would not trade that time I got with that game. It's very special. So
yeah,
you nailed it though. You nailed it. It's been a very special experience.
Now we need that for Ocarina of Time from the ground up.
I agree. It's
beautiful visuals.
Perfect.
Update the story, incorporate the voice acting. Think about I love Tears of the Kingdom and I love Breath of the Wild. One of the elements that I like less from these last two games is, and I think the music is still good in them, but it's a lot more subtle and it's not as as grand. When I think of like how memorable every single tune in Ocarina of Time is, and how I can play any song from that game, I'm like, oh my gosh, this, oh my gosh, that. Like I'll know every tune because those songs are so iconic and so legendary. Thinking about that fully rearranged, reorchestrated, and beautiful, and having these powerful moments in the game revisualized in a modern graphics engine with voice acting. Oh man, that game, I'll tell you right now, would capture those same feels, but because Ocarina of Time had a way more powerful impact on me, as much as I love Final Fantasy VII growing up, Ocarina of Time was such a big deal for me growing up. I know that game would be such a big tear jerker. Just certain moments when like the music crescendos and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doing it right now. But
yeah, that Zelda's the only one that eclipses Final Fantasy VII as far as like those throwback nostalgic feels is Zelda. And you're right about the soundtrack. I really agree with you. I don't think we've ever talked about this, but I do think the soundtrack is much better than what we got in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And it's not to say that the soundtracks in those games are bad. They're not.
They take a back seat.
Not as good.
Yeah, they take a back compared to like the traditional Zeldas where music was a really big part of it. Yep. I mean, you know, obviously there was a theme to that. You get a musical instrument in multiple titles. So there was obviously a theme there. But great songs in the new games. It's just more subtle. It's more in the background. It's more of like the atmosphere and enjoying, you know, the sounds of the nature and being out in the wild. But
yeah, not like Hyrule Field or the Great Sea and Wind Waker. You know, those were like epic tracks, man, that I could just listen
absolutely.
to.
Wind Waker soundtrack is unbelievable.
So good.
Ocarina of Time was my favorite game ever of all time, period. For a good 19 years, I give it 20 until Breath of the Wild. Because when Breath of the Wild came out in 17, I was at that tipping point of like, oh my gosh, this is truly, truly contending with it because it hit me in every area, which is tougher to do as you've lived longer and you are no longer in your youth and you're now, you know, approaching middle age. And now I'm 41, but like, you know, 7 years ago being a 33, I guess technically this summer I turned 34, but 33-year-old playing, you know, Breath of the Wild, it's okay. Now I'm married. Now I'm a dad. Now I've played games for 30 years. What new could this do? The graphics have always gotten better. Music has gotten to being of bigger sound files and orchestrated, and there's better writing because there's more space to write, and you could fill up text boxes more easily and stuff like that. But gosh, Ocarina of Time did so many firsts and so many memorable things and just nailed it. But finally, Breath of the Wild was like, dude, it captured that gliding off of the, you know, plateau. Oh, the creativity with this, the navigation, it checked off so many boxes, so that finally, like, I kept playing that game for a year, you know, and then actually after I beat it, I beat it in like 3 weeks, you know, I hammered through it, but for several more months playing it, next year still playing it regularly. And then in the last 7 years, I still hop in once every few months. I put on my Korok mask. I walk in this direction, and I'm like, I'm just going to have a journey. And you know what's crazy? Just a few weeks ago, I was playing it on my birthday, and I unlocked a new Korok, and I was like, I didn't know you could unlock them in this way, because I got like 500, you know, but there's so many ways, like the balloon pop way, riding on horseback, going over 3 different things way. There's so many different ways to get them. I was like, dude, I put in like 400 hours in Breath of the Wild. I didn't know you could unlock it in that way. So like that game mechanic, all that, in 2018, I decided it's finally time to pass the torch. It did enough for me, like 15-year-old Paul was as a kid. And oh my gosh, it hit me in the gameplay and the physics and all this stuff. You know, Ocarina still does some things a little better with like bosses, I would say, and music, but Breath of the Wild reinvented so much of the game for this 33-year-old gamer that has seen it all. And no, I haven't. I just loved that. So anyways, small tangent, but Breath became my new favorite.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, we all have our games that do it for us. Ocarina was the first. Zelda, my introduction to gaming, I was given a hand-me-down NES and the gold cartridge for The Legend of Zelda.
Awesome.
That was the first thing I ever played, and was a Zelda fan ever since. Even though as a young kid it was hard to wrap my head, I went from that to A Link to the Past, and I played everything since. I missed out on Zelda 2 until I think I was in middle school when I first got around to playing. I have all my consoles from growing up. I haven't tossed anything. So I have everything that I grew up with. But Ocarina really blew my mind. However, for me, the game that dethroned that for me, and still but even though I realize it's not a perfect game, it's still my favorite game to this day. And maybe again, it was just the time in my life when I played it. But for me, it was Wind Waker. And I know it's not a perfect game, but that game was just so special. I love the art style. The music's phenomenal. The very like nostalgic and kind of sad take that they did with Ganondorf. You know, this more sympathetic villain that gave his character a little bit more complexity. But when you first get your sailcloth and you hop on the King Red Lions, I'm like, wait, the sky's the limit. I could just sail wherever. And obviously there are some limitations to that with some events that happen, you know, with like the tornado and stuff that kind of throw you off course. But that feeling, that sense of discovery of like, it's just the open seas ahead of me. And that game doesn't get enough credit for that. I felt that feeling again when I played Breath of the Wild, but I feel like because I felt it for the first time, I had never played anything like that at that time. Yeah. You know, when I stepped into that, I'm like, wait, I just hit the seas and I could go. And the mechanics that carried over to that, you know, with the gliding and stuff, we experienced that in Zelda.
That was the first one.
You get a little bit of it with Majora's Mask when you shoot out of the pods and as the Deku and kind of glide down. But the Deku Leaf was really the first gliding mechanic. That game was just really, really special for me personally.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I could talk Zelda all day. We could.
Oh yeah, we all could.
Pass every week and I'd never get bored.
Same.
I'm serious.
All right, everyone went then?
Yes.
All right, let's get to our super chat questions in. For those that don't know, you guys can super chat in for our Q&A towards the end of the show. We have a handful here. It's to Vanata712 who said remake new game and cancel the game franchise version of FMK, F-Zero, Star Fox, Earthbound.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Damn.
Wow.
I remake F-Zero, I kill Earthbound, and I have a new Star Fox.
I'm the same with Gale, painfully so, because I would like, you know, Earthbound was on my list for dormant games I'd like to see come back. But I pitched my remake idea for an F-Zero that works in modern times. I really want Star Fox and Earthbound. I love you, but in this round, you got to go.
Oh, jeez. You guys are evil.
Who you got to kill, Nate?
I can go. Yeah. So, look, I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. New game, Earthbound. Done deal. We need it. People don't know what they're missing until they have it again. Remake? It's pretty simple. F-Zero. I don't need another Star Fox remake. F-Zero. So we're canceling and killing Star Fox. And that hurts my soul to say that. But look, I'm going to be honest. I haven't had Star Fox since what? 0, and I don't miss it.
But you don't know of my version now?
What's the potential?
My version.
I'll take a Rogue Squadron instead.
Dang.
Yeah, I would too. Bring Factor 5 back.
Oh, that was a great studio.
So good.
That was so good.
I got to go with easily, no question, a new Earthbound, 100%. I got to go with a remake of F-Zero, and I too am canceling Star Fox.
I love how we agree up here, and they just
I'd rather have a new Pilot Wings, honestly, than a new Star Fox. So,
sorry to people in the chat that feel pain.
We're going to hurt someone's feelings. Someone's going to be like, "How dare you not do that with F-Zero?" Like,
probably.
Paul, we're the cream team down here. This is the cream team.
Cream team. All right. You guys enjoy creaming each other.
Dream team and cream team.
You guys are the cream, you're the crust, right? I don't know. Let's go ahead. Boo Mini just got his membership renewed today. Thank you so much, Boo Mini. You're awesome. Jorge FT says Andy Robinson pointed out that the next gen for Nintendo could be the last one for old guards like Miyamoto, Sakamoto, Takeda. How would you feel about Nintendo once they set off into the sunset? So the old guard at Nintendo. One name we left off was Aonuma, who is 61.
Yeah. I saw this post actually on Twitter as well, and I reposted it, and I thought about it actually for a while. And normally, I think it's natural for all of us to probably feel a little bit of sadness, a little bit of nostalgia, all those normal feelings.
Anxiety.
But well, no, actually not that one. And I'll tell you why, because I'm really, really confident at the knowledge transfer that's been happening at Nintendo, the way they've brought in all this young talent and really taught them, how they do things at Nintendo. All these guys that we're talking about are still very hands-on. Like these guys still roll up their sleeves and work.
Sakamoto literally just said today, "Hey, I'm involved in every aspect of the new Famicom, like everything, the story, the graphics, everything, the characters." I'm like, he was very emphatic. I know I'm the producer, but this ain't no normal producer role. I am touching the entire game. I'm like, okay, we get it. It's your vision. It's your game. We got it, man.
Which is really cool. That's special because, when you get to, with a lot of companies, I think when you've been there a long time and you're working now in corporate, some people just put on the suit and come to work. These guys don't. They roll up their sleeves. They work every day. And I think they have, just with the culture there in Japan, they have a lot of pride in who Nintendo is and their footprint across the world. And it's very important to them that when they leave this company, they leave it in a better place. I really, truly believe all these guys look at Nintendo that way. And so I don't have anxiety because of that reason, thankfully. In most cases, though, I would. If we're talking about something else, I probably would. But because we know them so well, Nintendo and how they operate, I do feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, I mean, Miyamoto fielded a question at the investors meeting. What was it? The 84th annual shareholders meeting, where he was asked a very similar question. Like, one, if he's still making games, and then two, is he confident in the younger devs underneath him? And he basically gave a very confident answer. It's like, we've been training these people forever. Like they know what they're doing. Like even when they think of oh, well, Aonuma is getting old. He's not going to do Zelda forever. Yeah, it's going to be Fujibayashi next. They already know. They already have the train set up. The same thing with Mario. You guys might only know the big names because we don't always pay attention to the new directors. But a lot of those directors have been directing games for a decade now, and they've learned the ropes, and they'll be taking over as the new producers and bringing in new directors. And the thing about the current directors taking over as the producers is they're there to guide the new director and teach them so they don't mess up what they're doing. And mistakes will always be made. There'll always be a dud here and there. When we're talking about the big IPs, yeah, Nintendo don't want duds.
Yeah,
they don't. They want those big IPs to keep being big, so they gotta make sure they're really training properly on how to keep everything fresh, but keep everything feeling right for the fans. And so I think I'm not so much worried about what Nintendo's going to do because I think they're already set up for it. And even some of these people, like Miyamoto, feels like a lifer. So, 10 years from now, end of the generation, if he's still alive, he's probably still at Nintendo doing something because that's just who he is. Now, he's already stepped back.
His identity.
But and I feel like a lot of these other people, they kind of feel the same way. They might go into other roles. But a lot of them I feel like are gonna kind of be lifers. I'm cool if they retire anytime. I mean, they're all at retirement age, and they've probably made enough money in Japan to retire if they want. They probably have a nice, retirement package and everything. But I I kind of look at it as I'm not worried about what's going to happen with Nintendo, but the question was, how would you feel once they set off into the sunset? And
it'll be sad.
Yeah,
That's the fact of the matter. It's going to be sad. These are icons that we all grew up with. Like, I fully, I know that the inception of Zelda was, with Miyamoto, but I affiliate Zelda with Aonuma. That's the face I've seen next to Zelda.
Yeah,
most of if not my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's sad. It was like seeing, and this was less of a hands-on role, obviously, when it comes to the quality of our games or the games we get. I was pretty sad when Reggie stepped down, and he's just very sad. He was, he's just on the business side. Wasn't a developer at Nintendo working on the games. I was sad, and I still, Doug Bowser seems like a great dude. But there is a void that was left at Nintendo after Reggie left. And, we talk about the charm and personality that Nintendo has. And Reggie fit right in with that weird, quirky vibe that Nintendo's known for. That guy was out there. And to see him in a Nintendo Direct battling Satoru Iwata and as a puppet doing push-ups, Nintendo 61, Nintendo 62, and the Mega 64 skit, like, my body is ready, I'm about kicking ass and playing games, and like all that stuff. There's a void from that, and I don't know, seeing these iconic faces, I think that Nintendo's capable. Like you guys said, I think they're gonna leave their legacies in good hands that have been, nurtured with the IP and guided, and all their wisdom, passed down. But I don't know, getting that Zelda reveal where you don't see Aonuma out there is gonna be a weird thing the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like even like the Reggie thing, a lot of that I give Iwata a lot of credit for that, because Iwata's the one who
absolutely
Iwata's the one who hired him. Iwata's the one who decided they were going to be a personality forward company.
Sure.
Because Iwata very much put himself directly in front of fans. Created the damn Nintendo Direct and hosted it.
Yeah. His weird banana skit.
Yeah.
Where he's looking at the bananas.
Thing.
So good.
And like then like the North American one would have Reggie eventually host it. And then Bill Trinan and stuff, but then they would still bring Iwata in here and there for certain announcements. And it was a very personality forward, very skit, very funny. And that entire era, obviously, like the saddest thing in my lifetime as a Nintendo fan was when Iwata passed away. Not just because it was cancer, which, that's a tough way to go. But how sudden it was, how they thought they had beaten it the year prior. And he was 51. He was set to lead Nintendo for another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
We'd be talking now about, well, now, that was 2015. Okay, well, he would be just approaching 60, 61, and he still would probably just keep kicking for another 15, 20 years. He wouldn't even be part of this old guard, because he would just be going past it. He would even be beyond that until, he decided to step down. And so that he was the hardest one to lose, because it felt like we lost him.
Absolutely.
When these other
and his legacy is so bittersweet. Sorry to interrupt, Nate. I just want to add this. His legacy is so bittersweet because the Switch is Iwata's baby.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what the Switch has accomplished and become off the heels of, the lowest point Nintendo's had to face. It's sad that, he's not around to see this success and see his vision.
I knew you had that book. I knew it.
Yeah, of course, man.
But
I think,
it's bittersweet.
I think you all said it. I'll agree, and I'll add one comparison. Kind of, it will be on the personal sad side to see our beloved heroes no longer up front and center, but they've done such a good job for the last 4 decades passing on, that it's not like a director no longer a part of a movie franchise and you're like, oh dude, this doesn't feel like any of the magic that was from the original director's intention. No, these people have been around forever, rubbing off, telling the new generation how to go. But if you want to have a little bit of another comparison, I guess, if you will, we saw the switch between a 27-year voice actor in Charles Martinet go away into Kevin Afghani.
Yeah.
So, and Nintendo handled that well. The vast majority of the people playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder probably didn't necessarily know. The few million glued in that are online on X and YouTube and Instagram and all this kind of stuff that's reading it are the ones that, it's me, Mario, hello. And then, it's me, Mario, hello. So slight of a difference that most probably didn't feel the impact. But for me, now I'm also biased because Charles Martinet and I are in real life personal friends. I mean, I've had the pleasure of calling him that for like 20 years. So that hit me harder on a personal level because for him, I want success. For his well-being, I want him to do what I know he loves. So that was hard. And as a fan, since I'm so glued in also, it's like, I'm also a little bit concerned. Is it going to be as good and stuff like that? Now, if I try to remove myself from the bias of, calling him a dear person in my life and as a longtime fan of his as well, before I even became a friend, in just liking the way Mario sounds, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was just fine. Mario sounded good. Luigi sounded good. The little snippet that we heard of Wario and Waluigi in the upcoming Mario Party games, like, it's going to be fine. And that's one small component. I mean, an important component, but that's just the voice acting component. Nintendo's not going to flub it in all the other parts, in the art direction of Zelda, in the lore of Zelda, in the story of Mario, and the visor stuff of Samus Aran, and the Donkey Kong fur texture. Like, it's going to be fine. It's just going to be, it won't be noticeable, probably, was what I'm saying, for most. But for us, there will be that attachment of my fan. But you've probably seen people go. I saw Perrin Kaplan being mentioned. Peter Main, that's another one that the modern day Nintendo fan probably doesn't know who Peter Main was. Howard Lincoln, Minoru Arakawa. These are folks that I've met at early E3s that, look at 20 years later and you've got, 18-year-old fans that don't know who these people were when they retired 4 years before they were born. And Nintendo's operated just fine. It's also one of the things that I was always like, you know what? People make a little bit too big of a deal of, oh man, no one could do Smash Bros. Without Masahiro Sakurai. Not true. Enough of his DNA has been put into, I'm sure, enough people, and there are enough other different types of talent that it might not feel exactly like his last 4 entries in the series, but there's enough of a different quality of good that it's kind of going to be that shift of, you loved Ocarina of Time for Miyamoto and you loved Twilight Princess for Aonuma, and are they really that different, or did one transition well into the other? And the Zelda we're getting today is as good, if not, better. Also part of modern tech advancing with it than Ocarina. But, the Smash Bros. Will be fine also when Masahiro Sakurai, retires, steps down completely from it. So good question. But yeah,
that is a great question.
I'll be more sad when they die, just because.
That's gonna be
that's gonna be the rough.
That was a.
I mean,
I cried that day.
That they died before me, and I don't mean that to be mean. I mean because they are 20 plus years older than me. That I hope that I don't die before them. But I'm assuming I'll be alive when they pass, and that's gonna be harder for me. Even if they live their full lives and got to live to a ripe old age, it's still gonna be harder for me when that happens than when they step down, or if they ever step down. Because just losing those creative minds, losing it'll feel like losing like part of myself, like a family member, because the things they did in their creations and growing up, that's going to be rough. But them stepping away from Nintendo and having new people take over, that to me I think is already been happening and transition well. I mean, just look at Miyamoto. He basically doesn't really make games anymore. I know technically he was involved with Pikmin 4. I get it. He actually was involved in the game. But you see what they're doing with them. They're using it for promotion. They're using it for negotiations. They're PR.
Table flipping.
He's still an important memory. He's still on the board. There's things he does that we don't know, that we won't know, because that's just what the board members have different jobs and different things. But he's not on the ground floor necessarily making games anymore. And that's okay, because he's transitioned Zelda and Mario and everything else a long time ago. Now I'm sure whoever helped him on, I'd have to go look at who the director was on Pikmin. I'm sure he was helping with that to transition that franchise to a new person to take over. So I think everything is in great hands. And I think it's just more sad to think that, man, they're getting old and it's the end of an era. And that era is really, these are like the kind of the people that were the foundation that built Nintendo as a gaming specific company.
It kind of reminds me, just to end on this, about two things, like sports and movies. Sports, when you see a guy like get drafted and then you see him retire, and you're like, oh my God, it's been 20 years, it's been 15 years. And then with movies, I mean, we could liken it to some of the recent Star Wars, but seeing the beginning with A New Hope and then seeing the end, right? And it's like, it's over now, like they're gone.
Yeah.
This story, the chapter's closed. That the Indiana Jones, if you saw the last one, you're like, yeah, this is it. Like, I think this is it. He's hanging up the hat. Like he's at the age. Why
did he reach back and grab the hat?
I know. We've talked about this before, but it's like that. Like, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Because it also causes, for me, some introspection at like life, my age. I'm just like, God, like, where's time going?
Yeah, seriously. And not to take this to a more selfish place, but you ever think about all the amazing Zelda games you're gonna miss out on when you're gone?
No,
I do. I do. I swear to God, I
do.
Dude, I have before.
I brought this up on a live stream once, that I'm like, look, the next Zelda game is going to come out. Gosh, I'm going to be almost in my mid 40s. And the next one after that, I'm going to be 50. The next one after that. Okay, so I've got maybe, if I live till 70 at least, I've got like 3 or 4 big Zelda games left. And I'm like, holy shit.
I know. I think we're probably around the same age, Nate, because I have the same exact thoughts as you.
Like, literally, there's like 20 Zelda games behind me and less than 10 probably ahead.
Yeah. We're on the opposite end.
Yeah, and I have this weird irrational fear that it's going to be like launch day for like the biggest, most epic, amazing, groundbreaking Zelda game ever, and something's going to happen to me on the way to go pick up my copy. Obviously, we'll be all digital, hopefully, or not hopefully, but
look,
hopefully I'll still be around
with some heart attack when I'm 85 over a new Zelda game announcement. I'm good if that's the way I go.
that's the way to do it.
I agree, but I hate having these thoughts. Like, I hate it when these thoughts pop up.
I know,
it's so intrusive.
Like feeling.
You gotta live well enough and be healthy enough to make it to 100, so that you've got like another 6 decades of Zelda and Mario and stuff.
Yeah, I actually need some health advice, Paul.
Croak. That's all my family health says. But we'll see.
Are you living for your family? Or are you living for yourself to play more Zelda and Mario?
I'm just saying, that is like what history says about my family. I got till about 80. But we'll see. I would love to add another 20 years on and still feel great at 80. Hence the workouts and everything. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I could still hold a Joy-Con at that age.
Well, might have to bust out the Wii.
That's what I do.
To duct tape it to the hand, and just as long as you can do this, you can still play. Getting to the next super chat here. We got from Boom Any. He says, do you get overwhelmed by the number of games on your backlog and then don't know which ones to start with, especially if they're all long games?
Yes. Every year, and it gets worse every year because I feel like great games are coming out at a quicker rate than ever. I feel worse every year, worse than the last. And I'm always thinking about all the fantastic games that I may never get around to and that I know I'm never going to get around to that I really wanted to play. Stuff I'm super hyped for, and then unfortunately something else that I'm even more hyped for comes out, and I'm like, well, I have to play this. So my list grows by the month, and it's a bummer. And sometimes I get video game ADD where I'm just like, I want to play a little bit of this, I want to play a little bit of this, just so I can experience everything, and I never get to finish them because there's always something new. So yeah, it drives me crazy. It's probably my biggest dumb gaming complaint is that there's too many good games.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
This is the way I feel for anyone out there that's got like these massive growing backlogs. Couple of things. One, buy less games. Like, let's just be realistic. When we talk about like getting overwhelmed, I don't feel overwhelmed. I just realize if it's in my backlog, it's because I wasn't excited enough to make time to play the games. Like I kept thinking about the games I haven't beaten, or the ones I've started haven't beaten, or the ones I bought with the intent to play and I haven't. And what I've kind of done over the years is I stopped buying games that I'm not going to play right away. Because in the end, if I buy a game and I know I'm not going to play it right away, I'm probably just not going to play it. Because it's not that I don't have time to game, but I don't have time to play every game. There's just reality. There just isn't. All the great games coming. There isn't time to play every game. There just isn't. I mean, the amount of games that release in 1 year, just if we just put
that's insane, man.
Like 30,000 games released in 1 year,
and they're all 100+ hour now.
Yeah, and they're all really long. Not all of them, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to give people this advice, like, hey, just buy less games, and I know that feels weird, but it's not about finances. It's about getting rid of that guilt. If you feel guilty or overwhelmed, it's because you're buying stuff that you just don't have time to play. And so like I was looking at my Switch the other day, and I realized that I don't have this massive library of games on here. And outside of I don't count the games that were sent by sponsors for videos, because that's a job related thing. But I look on here at any of the games that I bought that I just had no intent to ever really spend a lot of time with. And one of those games, and I'm staring at it right now, is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Now, I actually did have a whole plan to play it on my vacation that fell through, but I didn't pick it up at launch. And the only reason I was going to play it on vacation is because I felt guilty, because my daughter bought it for me. It's the first present she's ever gotten from me in my entire life. She's my stepdaughter. So it was a big deal to me, and she kept asking me about it. So I was like, well, I got to play it. So I felt like this obligation to play it. But I didn't buy it at launch because I knew I wasn't going to make the time to play it, because I had already previously beaten the game and it wasn't a new experience for me. And I don't replay games because of that. There's so many games coming. I'd rather experience something I haven't experienced before than revisit something from my past. Now, some people hate modern games and would rather revisit the past, and that's fine. I also think maybe you're just playing the wrong games. There's so many games. You're just playing the wrong ones. You got to find the right one. Maybe the ones that used to be for you aren't for you today, but it's something else. But I'll harken it back to last year. Tears of the Kingdom came out. Knew I was going to play it. Bought it day one. Beat it. There were other games that I didn't buy because I knew I wasn't going to play and beat it. So I just think that I don't feel stressed. I don't feel overwhelmed. I used to. About 5 years ago, I was buying every new game that came out. I don't own a bunch of games on PlayStation 5. I don't own a bunch on Xbox, but I play here and there. Now, Xbox is a little different because of Game Pass. I'm able to taste a lot of games without feeling that guilt, because I tasted it. I'm good. I'll find out if it's for me or not. So I think in the end, just buy less games. And I'm not trying to be mean. A lot of you people in the chat have backlogs 100 games deep. And let's just be honest with yourself. You're never going to play them. You're never going to play them. If your backlog keeps growing every year, it's because you're not going to play them. And I think that's a hard thing to accept, that you aren't a kid anymore with unlimited free time. Because, there's more good games coming out than ever. But then I think back to my childhood, and shit, dude, I was playing 100 hour plus, 100, 150 hours a week on games. Can't do that anymore. I got responsibilities. I got a job. I got life. You know, my summers aren't nothing but free time sitting in front of a TV. So I just to answer this, I don't feel it anymore because I fixed the problem. I just buy a lot less games. I used to feel like because of my job, I had to buy every new Nintendo game that comes out. No, I don't. If I'm not going to play it, don't buy it. That doesn't mean I don't support the game existing. It just means I recognize it's not just a waste of money for me. It's a waste of guilt. And right now, I feel real guilty about that $1,000 door right now. And if my daughter brings it up one more goddamn time, I'm going to just sit down and play it right in front of her. Because I'm waiting for her to ask me again because it's going to come up. I'm going to be like, oh, shit, let's sit down and play it right now.
You guys want to know what I do for my backlog? So I have an Excel sheet and I have all my games, right? All my games that I need to play. Then I go to howlongtobeat.com and I type in all the games and I got a column for how long to beat it and then how long to not 100% it, but complete it plus side quest. Because if I get into a game, like I've told you guys, and I really love it, I'm on 100% it, but it doesn't happen very often. So I don't have that on my Excel. So I got a few other columns, right? And then I just throw a filter on it so I can sort it. And, you know, the question was, what do you do, especially if they're all long games? I make sure they're not all long games. And I make sure to sandwich them a lot. Like long game, and then I'm going to throw in a handful of short games, then a long game. So I kind of got a routine down that helps me to get through more games. But, you know, it doesn't do everything. You still got to play the games and you still got to beat them and you still think about them when you're not playing them and you still think, man, I don't know if I'm going to get to all these. So it's real, but there are ways to be a little organized and strategic about it. But, you know, Nate's right too. Just don't buy as many games.
It's hard.
You know, it is hard. I know it is.
Like, I want that. Oh, I want that. And it's like, yes, I'll do it in the moment, but like, I know I'm just not gonna. But the new TMNT coming out, I want it. And you know what? I'm probably gonna wait and see how long it is, and that might be one of those short games I slip in.
Well, I'm going to be reviewing it. I downloaded it today, so
there's another
new how it is.
I don't care about 100%ing, so just to beat it.
Same.
You know, if it's like 12 hours or less, I might actually pick it up then. So I can squeeze that in. I'm playing a long game. I dove back into Hogwarts Legacy because I really love Harry Potter. So I'm like, I gotta find a way to at least finish the main quest. So what I like to do though when I'm playing a really long game is sometimes I need breaks from such heavy games, and that's where I can squeeze in these smaller games in between. So
guys, I hate to cut it short, but I do have to run. It is getting late. I gotta do dinner, say hi to the wife, all that stuff.
Have a life.
Have a life. I gotta get to my backlog. Actually, that's the real truth.
Right?
Yeah, right.
This conversation's gonna.
That was
but
all right, man.
Anyways,
you have a good night. You guys can check out Game Board Classic. He's linked down in the description. It's okay.
Yeah, check me out, guys.
We started late. It is what it is.
No worries. All right, man. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for having me on. Check out my channel, guys. Game Board Classic. I got a fun video planned. It's coming soon. It's a little bit more sketch oriented, like my last sketch. If you haven't watched, check it out. It's super fun, super weird. It's the official Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. It's kind of a parody. Check it out. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
That's a good exit.
Just laughing.
Okay. I just did that for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Loop it.
I'll say hit the end button. All right, later. All right, so we have a few left here. Boomin, he just said he gifted a membership. I don't know who it went to, but thank you so much for the gift, and I'm sure whoever got it appreciates it. So thank you for that, Boomini. We got Taker610, who said Switch 2 will be a third-party juggernaut. Oh, jeez.
I agree.
Of course it will be.
100.
Everyone who was late to Nintendo Switch because they had a bad taste in their mouth from Wii U, I remember, I won't talk about who, but I was at E3 17, and I was talking to some people, developers in the back of their booth, the VIP sec, how come this one is not on Switch? We development kits came in relatively on time, but just did not know if the system was going to be what it is. And that was 17. But look, 2017, Switch was only 3 months old. And it was looking like it was hot, but most people didn't know. And games take a while to make. Yeah. Nintendo Switch 2, like Taker 610 said, 610, right? I want to make sure I get it right. Yeah, 610. There is none of that fear this time. They're rolling right into the next one. This isn't Wii to Wii U rolling in. This is Wii U to Switch rolling in, but the Switch is already, the hot one. This is going to be possibly their best system ever overall. Can Nintendo nail the first party output as well as they did with Nintendo Switch? Because we know development times are going to be longer. Maybe, maybe not. But with the indie support and with greater third party support, it overall might be an even stronger system than Nintendo Switch. But
Nintendo's a whole new development building.
We'll have to see. A new building next door. Yeah.
I agree.
But it's going to be a third party juggernaut. I agree.
Paul, you said E3 2017, right?
Yeah.
So I was at that one. That's the only one I got to go to. I got to ask you. I just got to ask you. Did you go to the party that Devolver Digital was having across the street? Because I just think it would be hilarious if I saw you there. It was right across from the LA Convention Center.
The Devolver Digital story. I love this.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. There was a lot of people from the industry, so I was like, maybe I saw you there when I was working in mortgage. It would have been so random if I did.
Don't you be working for the ESRB?
Yeah, I told everyone that's how we got in, that we were working with the ESRB and that they sent us because we're the only young single guys who don't have kids, so they always send us. That was how we got in, because you had to have a special badge to get in. We didn't have it, of course. So it was fun, very fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Last one, Taker 610 said Metroid Prime 4 over or under 5 million units on Switch 2.
That's a good question.
If it's on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 and has a co-op mode that is attractive, it easily passes 5 million. If it doesn't do enough different, then who's to say it sells a whole lot better than 3 million, because it's just a prettier version of Metroid Dread. It's a prettier version of Metroid Prime 3. It's a prettier version of existing Metroid games with Metroid formula that only a few million people like, despite the 9s and 10s and being one of the most critically acclaimed franchises without ever having a bad entry. Even Metroid Other M is pretty fun, just not of the high tier. It only sells in this sub 3 million range, and finally 3.15 million with, Dread. So they would have to do something different. And capitalizing on that 155 million install base while being this gorgeous looking new one for Nintendo Switch 2 could be enough to make it this is this 5 million, 7 million seller. Or it could run into, despite the install base being so big, it still only is a game that 4 million people are interested in. And, well, why does Halo sell 15? Because it's guns and shooting and M-rated and a story and voice acting and online and a lot more. Well, why does Doom sell 6 million? Because it's chainsaws and first-person shooter. And so Metroid, to the non-gamer, looks kind of like, looks like a Halo, looks like a Doom, but it's a first-person adventure. It's not even a first-person shooter. It is different. So what is Retro Studios doing differently to bring in a bigger audience besides the game? I guarantee is going to get 9.7s. It's going to get 10s.
Yeah.
It's going to be streamed a lot. Nate's going to talk about it. You're going to talk about it. We're all going to talk about it on channels. And oh my gosh, this is the best Metroid game ever. And the few million people online that are watching us, watching you all, they're going to buy it. But I think if you could have an online Splatoon-like versus mode, that is continuous, a Destiny kind of thing that is different and make it good, and take advantage of Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 people playing together, that might be the needed thing. I hate to say it needs multiplayer, because I will buy the heck out of Metroid Prime 4 beyond day one. My reaction was through the roof with excitement. I love it, but I'm me. I want this game to sell 10 million, and this game can be the Breath of the Wild moment for Zelda that it is for Metroid. And I'm not saying it's going to sell 27 million, but like, look at, Zelda tripled Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess sales. If we triple Metroid Dread sales, that's 9. I'd be happy if this thing does in that 7 to 10 range. But I feel like it can't just be excellent, because there's reasons why Metroid Dread is excellent and hasn't sold 10. It's excellent and sold 3. There's a reason why Astral Chain is excellent and only sold 1.5 and not 10. Kirby did what was needed in Kirby and the Forgotten Land to bring in Kirby. Never did 5 million again since the original. Look at Metroid. Didn't do those 2 million numbers until Prime, and Prime didn't until Dread. So it's got to have something beyond being amazing, because it already is going to be. So that's why I'm like, I think a strong multiplayer component with online might be enough, or something different, like, and who knows how ambitious Retro is going to be. I have a feeling quite ambitious, since the game's been in development for 5+ years by the time it comes out. But maybe, could call it popular, or could call it unpopular, or wishful thinking. But if you could switch between first person and third person perspective in Samus Aran, that changes a lot to the gameplay. But for a lot of people, maybe what's holding them back is you've got a lot of people that like that third person behind the back, Resident Evil 4, Nathan Drake, Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War camera perspective, that if this isn't a first person shooter that's like my Call of Duty fix, I want it to be a behind the back, see my cool character kind of fix. Mm-hmm. So if Retro could do that, that's enough of a talking point. That's enough of a different first person perspective, do what we like, third person, to bring in more people, because what do they have to do? So I know that was a long answer to that question, but I think it will do 5 if it launches on both and has multiplayer or some other different unexpected thing to make more people want it. I'm a little worried that it might be only 5 if it doesn't have that, or only launches on 1. But I definitely think this is a cross-gen game / potentially dual launch, launch game. If they're now diving into other territory, I don't want to keep it snappy because I'll go too long. But
if there are 2 versions of the game, because it's cross-gen, so a version on Switch and a version on Switch 2, I do think that it could end up selling a little over 5 million combined. Mm-hmm. I know that a lot of people are like, well, no. Backwards compatibility, just have a patch or something. I get it. I get it, but that actually will make it sell less, not more. So for the total sales, it would actually be better for there to be 2 separate versions. And one be 60 and 170, 4K. And you know why?
Yeah.
You guys know why it sells more? Because there will be some hardcore Metroid fans that will double dip the hell out of it.
Yep.
That being said, Paul, I've been on record the whole time we talk about Metroid Prime 4 all this time that the reason every time a Metroid Prime 4 topic comes up, it devolves into talking about multiplayer is because a lot of people feel like that's the key to make it bigger. A lot of hardcore Metroid fans don't want the single player to necessarily drastically become something different in kind of the way that Breath of the Wild did with Zelda, because it's already literally 9.5s and higher almost every entry but Other M. So we're very happy, as are the critics, with what it is. Problem is that has a very limited reach in who that appeals to. Mm-hmm. So what's a way you can keep that, but then still be able to reach a bigger audience? Well, if keeping that feels more like a campaign mode to a larger game that is big on multiplayer. Like Halo isn't where it is today because of its campaign mode. People love the campaign mode, but that's not why it's as big as it is. If that's all it had, it would be a much smaller franchise. The multiplayer is why the game got so big. And they by the way, multiplayer isn't even new for Metroid. They've tried it many other ways. They had technically had a mode in Prime 2 that just needed to be more fleshed out. They had hunters. So like they've tried, even Federation Force, they've tried multiplayer in different ways. So it's not as if they don't realize that multiplayer is something they need to do. They've just never really put the same emphasis on multiplayer as they have the single player. And it has to be treated as equally important. And if it's not, then whatever multiplayer mode is going to feel like a little side dish that doesn't take off. It truly needs like the 9.5 care that you're good in the campaign mode has to be put into the multiplayer mode. And it just hasn't happened yet. Will this be the game that does it? Nobody knows because they haven't even teased multiplayer. But I will say that if it's 2 individual releases on Switch 1 and Switch 2 because they're 2 separate versions, sure. I do think you can cross 5 million. You might only get closer to 5.5 or 6. If it's just on Switch 2, I would say that's pretty hard pressed early in the life cycle, unless, and this is the big unless, they find a way to make it evergreen. And that would not just include having a multiplayer mode. It would have to have a multiplayer mode that is updated and gets new things, new maps, new modes. I don't know if they go the season pass route, but they have to do something that keeps people engaged long haul. This is not N64 GoldenEye back in the day where you drop that multiplayer, never update it, and people just play it forever. That's not the expectation anymore. Multiplayer games got to constantly get new content, or people just leave.
Fortnite has modernized the game, and other games like it, where there's a reason why they're so successful. And like Metroid Prime doesn't even need to have something Fortnite level, but Splatoon-ish.
Yeah.
You know, it could be
I
there.
realized it with Splatoon. People always like, well, the game's incomplete at launch. I'm like, it's intentionally incomplete.
It's very solid.
They
want to add up it
content to you because it keeps you playing.
Yep, 100%.
So, Nintendo figured it out.
I'll go on record and also say that I do think it's going to pass 5 million. I think you need to have separate SKUs. I think if it launches on Switch 2, that's going to be huge for it to start off early in that life cycle. If you can make it evergreen, we all know that works. We've seen it in action, especially with this Switch life cycle, what it means to be an evergreen title. So that would be huge. I think the multiplayer aspect is a big one. For me, I don't, again, as both of you guys are too, lifelong Metroid fans, I don't need it, but I'll definitely play it. And I'm sure I'd enjoy it. That's not what I'm there for, but I want to bring in as many people as possible to Metroid because we've seen the review scores for years. We've played the games and agreed with them.
The more people that get into it because of the multiplayer, the more people that try the campaign.
Yeah, we need that.
I think I'm optimistic in general, but there is one extra component here that the reason why I do think at the end of the day, easy answer, yes, gonna sell 5. Why? Because Nintendo knows something that we don't. They have allowed this game to be rebooted after 18 or so months of development, to be restarted in October or so of 2018, announced publicly January 19, but probably started development at Retro Studios October 18. So by the end of this year, that's going to be 6 years of 6 years of development time in a Western studio who gets paid differently per hour here in Austin, Texas than in Kyoto, Japan. There has to be a reason why Nintendo is pumping in so much money for so long into this game beyond it just being, oh no, we're going to release a really darn good game. I mean, it's going to be excellent, but there's got to be something else to it. I'm not saying, it's problem solved is definitely the multiplayer, but there's probably something else that's going to be more than just really, really good. And I mean, maybe you take control of Samus's ship. Maybe it's got some other gameplay hook beyond the platforming adventure stuff. It's got some aerial stuff, or just, like I said, the third-person mode that you could switch in between. That's kind of attracting to me.
That third person.
But they know that it's worth this big investment.
Because they did
Nintendo wouldn't have put in 5-6 years into Breath of the Wild if they didn't think this is gonna change the game. So I think it's the same thing right here with Metroid Prime Beyond.
I mean, here's the thing. They pumped a lot of money into Other M with a third-party studio. They thought it was going to be a big hit, and they very publicly said how disappointed they were with how well it performed. They thought, hey, big game, a lot of money, new perspective. We're going to get all Metroid fans, side-scrolling and first-person together in one game, sell 5-6 million. No, ends up being one of the worst-selling games in the franchise. So what's interesting about Metroid is it seems to be an IP they're willing to pump money into. And there could be a number of reasons for it, because it definitely hasn't done the sales to deserve the budget they keep giving it. Now, I'm not talking about, obviously, guys, the side-scrolling games. We all know that those are usually smaller teams and not quite as costly. And I would say Dread selling a few million. Yeah, it's proven that at least in one way they should probably keep Metroid going, and that's the side-scrollers, because it's doing Kirby. Give it the Kirby budget, they'll be fine. You'll be able to get out, maybe not as often as Kirby, so it might be a little bit higher than a Kirby budget, because they'll seem to be every year something Kirby's coming out. But I can see the side scrolling continuing. But Nintendo desperately seems to want the big 3D first person Metroid games to really, really take off. And it's fascinating too, because you look at the logo, and the biggest word in the logo is Beyond. They want people to focus on Beyond. Kind of let go of the Prime 4 aspect. We want you to focus on Beyond. And what does that mean? And what is this thing that you're not showing us? Because the initial showing of the game was always going to be, we got to please the hardcore fans. We announced this thing in 2017. The first time we show it, we got to make the faithful happy. But the game's a ways out. It's 2025. So eventually they're going to show us something that's meant to expand this game. Because if Nintendo didn't do it, I swear on all that is holy in this world, the Metroid Prime 4 might be the last of that type of Metroid game. If they didn't do anything. If all they did was say, we're going to send Metroid Prime out in epic fashion, a final game. We're going to please all the Metroid fans. We pumped a huge budget into it. And that could be what they're doing. But I don't think that's what any Metroid fan wants to hear. They want to hear, no, they're dedicated to this. They keep pumping money into it. But Nintendo is also a business. And they can have a lot of value in the Samus IP, especially with it being, one of their only IPs that has a female lead. It's got a very deep history in the gaming industry, a very important history in the gaming industry. One of the most recognizable characters in Smash, and that's all cool. But for some reason, they can't get it to pop. They've gotten Kirby to pop twice, and I think they figured it out with Forgotten Land. I think the next Forgotten Land kind of Kirby is probably going to pop again.
Yeah.
They finally got it to cross 3 million with the side scrolling. Cool with Metroid. So I truly think that they didn't just pump all this money in to deliver us the same Metroid Primes we just keep getting, which are epic and amazing and awesome. Mm-hmm. It has to be because they wanted to make money. And you look at the names on this project, they have at least 130 to 140 developers. This isn't counting translators or localizers and all this other stuff and the musicians, just developers. There's like 140 of them, and all of them are AAA developers with nearly decade or more of experience making AAA games at massive studios. These are not your entry-level developers. These are people. There's a giant list of them. I went over in a video. These are people that make the big bucks. These are they can pick their jobs. They can work anywhere they want. And they're working at Retro Studios because they wanted to make this game. So Nintendo's paying a lot of money for one of their biggest development teams right now to make this game. They're not doing that because they just want to honor the Metroid fans and lose money. They're a for-profit company. They're the most profitable they've ever been. Everything they do is meant to make money in the end. There's very little they'll do that, oh, we don't care about money in this aspect. You know, you guys think they made the Mario van for the movie to run around to all these places all over America and waste all the gas money and because it wasn't going to make the money? No, they were advertising the movie that went on to be, you know, the third. Well, actually, it now dropped down a slot. Inside Out 2 just went past it. Congrats to Inside Out 2, by the way. Glad to see other animation films popping off right now. But yes, I just kind of think that I don't know what it is, but if Nintendo's looking at this question, if they were asked, hey, do you think Metroid Prime 4 over under 5 million in unit sales? They're going to be like, look, we fully believe that this game is going to be the biggest Metroid game of all time. We can't tell you our internal sales target, but let's just say.
I would love to know.
I bet you they're thinking min 6 mil. We want 10.
I think they want 10 too.
If I had a buddy at Nintendo tell me, you know, our projections are 15 to 20 for this thing, I would be, oh, really? You tell me 15 to 20?
There's something going on. This kid, even if you say 10 mil, like, okay, you did something.
There's faith. Nintendo is accurate. They're a pretty accurate company, you know, with their sales projections and stuff like that. I know that all too well.
Yeah, when you miss, it's very obvious. Like when other M miss, they're like, yeah, we're not going to make another Metroid game for a while. They just come out and straight out and say, like, oh, okay, yeah, that missed.
They're usually accurate, and they're usually conservative.
Directly in an interview. Skyward Sword, yeah, we didn't exactly, you know, we're not really pleased with the sales of that game. It's like, okay, because they thought that game was going to sell significantly more on Wii than it did. I wouldn't be surprised if they thought that was going to be Twilight Princess level 8 mil, 10 mil, you know. But most of the time, as Paul Gale said, they actually are really close with their projections.
Yeah.
Or if they're off, it's because the game kept doing this and they're going to keep doing. Like, I don't think Nintendo was projecting 30 million Breath of the Wild. Probably not. Don't even think that. 10? Sure. I don't think they were projecting 30. But as me and
I don't either.
3 to 5 years, we need a 30 million banger.
It's going to be on Famitsu's charts on the top 30 7 years from now. Like, what?
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still going to be in that top 20. Mark my with backwards compatibility. Mark my words.
I do want for Metroid and Donkey Kong. I want Donkey Kong to experience it too, honestly, because
we all want these IPs to blow up at Nintendo. Like
Donkey Kong, I think, is easier than Metroid because Donkey Kong has had more several million titles. Yeah. Several million entries than Metroid has.
One to pop off yet. We need to get a 3D one to pop off.
He's got the movie tie-in with Mario.
The movie tie-in's perfect.
And you can make a Donkey Kong game comparable to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but a little bit bigger. And there you go. At bare minimum, something between Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Super Mario Odyssey in scope, and that's like a 6 million, 7 million selling Donkey Kong game.
I feel like Metroid's more appealing as like a TV show or movie than it is.
I do too, as a TV show or movie. I was wondering the same thing.
Like it could be huge in the sci-fi.
Gosh,
sci-fi is big now. Like it's, I've always loved sci-fi, but it wasn't always as popular, I think, as it is now. I think there's actually a good opportunity between that and video game, TV show, and movie adaptations having a better reputation now than they did, you know, when the Street Fighter movie came out and Mortal Kombat Annihilation in the 90s.
Hey, man,
I liked them, but I know other people didn't. No. They didn't do well.
Mario movie too, and people didn't like it.
Yeah, exactly. But now, better reputation. I was thinking that, like, what if they're trying to do a movie or a TV show and we don't know about it?
That'd be sick.
And that's how they think it's going to pop.
I used to work for a movie theater way back in the day when Metroid Prime was in theaters for that the live action trailer, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I still have, it's this big. Where's my camera? I still have the reel. It's this big. It's the actual reel that they put in the projector to run the old Metroid Prime live action commercial. And not only is that thing so cool to still have that Nintendo said you could keep it, yes, badass, unique. I would love to like convert it. Probably, I would like to. I would love to run it through some kind of 4K converter one of these days to upload that bad boy or bad girl. She's a Samus online. But the whole thing is like what the other stats was saying, a live action project of some sort of Metroid would be really, really cool. I don't want to get greedy, but you know what? Heck with it, dude. Hype irresponsibly. I'm greedy. I want a live action Metroid because
so bad.
That whole thing fits so well for a different reason than the Star Fox one, but similar. A space age kind of thing, badass heroine, cool looking armor with blasters and junk and Ridley and iconic music. And dude, Metroid fits so well.
Maybe that's the plan. They have that coming at the same time as the game.
Yeah, and if it really takes off, they have plans potentially, if this sells and takes off and the show takes off, to add it to Universal in like 10 years.
Yeah, don't even get me started on
never know
a Metroid universe at Universal.
Spaceship ride,
dude. Dude, imagine they make us put on the helmet, like a physical helmet. The ride.
Well, they already do that with some rides.
Well, yeah, like they have like the stuff for the Mario Kart ride.
Right, like, but it would be perfect.
But this would literally look like Samus's helmet as you put it on.
Yeah,
that would just be so sick.
That would be perfect. It'd be so cool.
Oh man, the future is good. See, this is why you got to live to like another 60 years.
I'll even take a Metroid themed laser tag. I'd be all up in that.
I would take that.
Where instead of a normal blaster, we have to put full arm cannons on.
That'd be cool.
Hit the wall, grab a charge up beam.
Yeah. Make a noise, and you're like, oh no, they can hear that.
Make your way through over here and find the ice beam, and then be able to like, man, dude, this is so freaking cool.
It'd be sick, or if like if you're on the other side, right, you might have different abilities as on the other side with oh man, that'd be fun. Or like the other side, the whole point of like the bad guys is they're trying to defeat you by activating Ridley.
And all of these live action things we're talking about could make for some unique multiplayer modes.
Yes,
right.
It would be sick. Oh no, he's grabbing something. Every time he walks away, there's something.
I was expecting a blaster to come back with you.
I turned the light on outside.
I literally thought he was about to come back on camera with an arm cannon on. I was like, Jesus.
That's what I was expecting.
Lady's getting home soon. Got to turn the light on for her.
Yeah, I see. That's all right. Well, that's actually the end. We have no other. Never mind. I say that, and one more comes in. Figure 610. Has Breath of the Wild outsold Tears of the Kingdom in any quarter since its launch? It's a very good question. I actually don't know because they only report.
The sales. Wow.
Only report million sellers.
I don't think Breath of the Wild has outsold it. Definitely didn't in the first one or the second one, and it's only been out for 2 more that we have the results for. Third being the one that just ended June 30th, and I don't think in those last 2 it has, but it's closer than people thought. I mean, if you go back to a couple weeks before Nintendo posted it, I said, hey, Tears of the Kingdom's only got like a good 450,000 for that last quarter, and it was 450,000ish, and like I don't think it's a failure at all, but I did not think it was going to do Breath of the Wild numbers. The fact that it did 20 million, 22 million, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Could Nintendo want more? Like, dude, that's the 2 Zelda games. So
I thought it was going to. Like, I didn't think Tears of the Kingdom would ever have the legs of Breath of the Wild. No. I thought Tears of the Kingdom as a sequel, it would do a shitload of sales right away and then kind of taper off. That's kind of what happened. Because if you guys look at the history of Nintendo's like evergreen games, the second one whenever they release a sequel, like even go back to Galaxy 2, it always sells significantly less than the first one because it just doesn't have the same tail because the experience doesn't feel as fresh as the first time around. But when you're talking 30 million and then you drop a sequel that does 20 million, you're pretty happy with that. So, like, that's why they make it, because 20 million sales is still a shitload of sales. And we're only talking about the game. The special OLED edition and all that, like, they sold millions more Switches because of Tears of the Kingdom. So, like, that's in the numbers. It was heavily boosted by Tears of the Kingdom for like 2 months. So, Nintendo's overall happy with it. But yeah, I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me if we get like a year out from now and Breath of the Wild is now outselling Tears of the Kingdom quarter by quarter. Wouldn't really be shocking because it's the fresh experience. It's the one that's going to keep selling. You can even liken it to the fact, hey, people say, oh, we didn't get a Mario Kart on Switch. Yeah, we did. It was Home Circuit. But what's the one that's still in the sales charts every year? It's 8 Deluxe.
Yep.
So Home Circuit did well out the gate. Then it tapered off. Not obviously 20 million well. We'd probably have a Home Circuit 2 by now if that was the case. Or more carts. They would have at least given us more carts.
I bought it for one of my friend's kids.
It's fun.
But I wanted to play it.
It is so fun. It's just, man, it's like, I love it, but it also doesn't fit with the times. And then we had COVID, which was like the worst time to have that because people can't even get together to play. Yeah, it's all right.
I kind of want to get one before they're really hard to get on eBay one day.
Sure.
Just so I have one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the Nintenbyte Podcast, episode 12. This was a beefy one, but hey, half the crew made it to the end, and that's all right. We'll be back next week. We have, let me see, I think Super Metal Day 64, Nintendo Land, and Andres Restart should be back. I know some questions in the chat. Where's he been? He wasn't on last week because he was supposedly packing for his trip this week. He's on the trip this week. And then the week before he was on. So, but I know he's missed like 4 of the last 6 episodes. He's got a life, man. He's got a life. He's got things going on. But he's going to be on as much as he can. He should be back on next week. And then on the 31st for that episode, we got Nick with No K coming on. And she's promised, we'll see, Gigglypuff supposedly is showing up. Madison supposedly is showing up on the 31st, but we'll see. She's canceled 2 other times, but those were job interview related. She literally told me, please pester me every day. So I will be pestering her every day. So she should be coming on to the 31st, barring anything else happening. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. One last time, let's give Paul Gale and Thunderstash a chance to talk about what they're doing and any content they have coming that you might want to watch. Paul, let's start with you, man. What's up?
Yeah, like Nate said, I am at Paul Gale Network on Twitter/X and on YouTube. On the YouTube side of things, if you want to go to my YouTube channel, you will see the official trailer for MEO that is nowhere else. It's worth watching. It's worth watching. And you'll also see the journey of the world's first The Legend of Zelda themed swimming pool that is under construction, that I just put up the first video of what Link and the Triforce looks like, and there's going to be more that comes in time. It's probably going to be done by the end of July. And on Twitter, on that side, I put up video game sales all the time. Tomorrow morning, if you're interested in how much ass is Nintendo kicking in Japan, well, check it out, because that's pretty much what every Thursday morning is they'll look at the weekly Famitsu sales charts, top software, hardware sales, and I just put up random
that morning text every time. Hey, you going to talk about software sales today? Here they are.
Here you go. Also, fun little fact, I'm at 1,994 followers on X. I know it's not a lot, but that means if just a couple of people in here tonight follow, I'll be at 2,000 by the end of the night. And that's kind of cool. That's just a nice number to hit. Like, I could do 2,000 tonight. So if you enjoy any of
Let's do it.
What I talked about tonight, then I appreciate a follow there. And going forward a little bit later, one of the fellow friends in this group, Mike Odyssey, and I were throwing an event called Indie Mania, and that's going to run September 12th through 14th. And that's going to be a 3-day event of, close to 70 developers and upwards of 100 different games, including some first looks, all from the indie scene, kind of like a E3 meets Indie World. So yeah, stay tuned for that too. And thank you for having me on, of course. And once in a while, you could check out Nintendo Prime's Monday night streams, where we also do live workout sessions. We haven't done that in a little bit.
Here was the public pressure for me to get it going again.
But Nate's been on a workout journey, and you could join Nate's channel, and it's right here. Get a little 15-20 minute workout on some Mondays.
On some Monday. It will come back, guys. I do promise. There's a lot of stuff I'm sorting out in my personal life, but it will come back. Thunderstash. The funny thing is, now we know what it is. Whenever I see the bag, I feel like he's gonna murder me and leave my body in the bag.
You should clip that one part where I fell and came back up as
that was hilarious.
That would be good.
That's got to be like a remix right there. I think that's Thunderstash Gaming. What do you got going on, man?
Well, yeah, you guys know where to find me. Thunderstash Gaming on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and then on Twitter, Thunderstash YT. And I will say that I follow Paul on Twitter, and I appreciate seeing his sales every week. I feel like I grew up looking at the Famitsu sales charts, so it's really nice to still be able to get them because they're not as, I don't know, they're not shared as much maybe.
Yeah,
I don't see them everywhere, but you post them every week, and I appreciate it. So now I get to see it because I'm interested in that stuff. As far as my channel, so right leading up, it's so funny because we've been talking about Metroid, and leading into the podcast tonight, I've been editing a video. So I played the unofficial Super Nintendo port of original Metroid. It's the MSU1 port. And so I played the original Metroid with a fully orchestrated soundtrack.
wow.
And with some modern amenities added to it, like a overworld map screen that is very useful, obviously, in Metroidvania games. And there's a lot of other changes too. So I just played through, beat that yesterday, recorded it. I should have it up tomorrow. You guys are going to want to check it out. If you're fans of Metroid, you got to see this. It's very cool. Oh, and I will say one more thing. Turtles Splintered Fate.
There it is. I was waiting for the news. I was waiting.
That's why I'm wearing the Turtles shirt today. I got to rep the turds.
And what a good game, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to review this game. And then I'm picking up the Nintendo World Championship tomorrow, my physical edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be reviewing that as well. I feel like I absolutely have to because I'm one of the old guys. I grew up with the regular Nintendo, so I need to talk about this game.
All right. And all you guys know who I am, Nintendo Prime. At this moment, Paul is 5 followers away from 2K.
I saw that. Thank you.
Over on Twitter. I will make sure, if it doesn't happen tonight, I will make sure it happens tomorrow because he will be putting up sales figures and I will give them attention.
Yeah.
That being said, you guys know what's going on. I'm Nintendo Prime. If you're new and found us on the audio version, I'm a YouTuber. I post Nintendo news almost every single day. I used to do it every single day. Trying to get back into it. I've had a very rough couple of months here. Stuff I don't really want to feel like getting into. One I can talk about, I was on vacation for 10 days somewhere in there. So you would figure with vacation, things would get better, but it doesn't always go that way. Vacation was wonderful, though. And for those wondering, no, me and my fiance are better than we've ever been. The love is strong. It's got nothing to do with that. So people that sometimes worry, it's not, it's got nothing to do with that. We are great, actually. Like that vacation did wonders. It was awesome. But yeah, we look, as for content coming up, we got the podcast every single week. That's like the biggest, most important thing I feel like I do on my channel. It's not my biggest piece of content. We had a video like a week ago pop off for like 70,000 views. Haven't had that happen in a while. That was really cool. And I want to make more videos like that. That video was definitely news tangential. Like it's news, but it's more like researched news that kind of looks ahead at what Nintendo's doing. In this case, it was Zelda. like to do it for some other franchises as well, as I deep dive into some old interviews and try to piece things together and see if we can kind of figure out what next might be coming in other franchises as well, especially in the remake and remaster space, because it's hard to predict brand new games. But sometimes when remakes and remasters coming, like, could we have predicted that Mario and Luigi was going to get a new game? Or would we have predicted a remaster instead? See, I don't know. I got to go check interviews. See, that's what I'm saying. Can we use this now to predict the next Mario RPG game? See, that's kind of a teaser, something I've been digging into behind the scenes, just to see if I can find enough connections to make a good. Because I don't even know where it's heading right now. I don't know if it's new or another remake or what. So like that's
I don't either.
I gotta see where the information is going to take me. So I got something like that, hopefully in the works here soon, or it's already in the works. But yeah, I'm trying to. Otherwise, I just do news. Like today, we had the Emio thing. I went over the Famicom, the Detective Club stuff. I knew the video wasn't going to do well because I knew that was not what people wanted the game to be. But that's okay. And then, yeah, I just kind of go where the news goes. So, like, let's say tomorrow they drop a big NSO update. That's probably what we're going to be talking about. Let's say for some reason they decide to show a new trailer for Echoes of Wisdom on a random Thursday. Sweet. We're going to be all over it. So, we're just kind of waiting on my channel for the marketing cycles to begin for all these games they announced. Right now, we're kind of like, hey, it was exciting for a couple of weeks. And now it's like, oh, can we can start talking about these games? We have like 5 of them coming.
Yeah.
One of them being the NES Championship Edition, which they have been talking about, to be fair. And maybe I should have been talking more about it. So that's my bad. My bad.
Well, we got to add one thing, too. We will be joining Paul for Indie Mania.
We will be.
We both are.
That's right.
I'm excited. I'm sure you are, too. So that's going to be fun.
I told Yulia, and she's like, you're doing what? And I said, well, Paul. Oh, Paul. Okay. Literally, I just brought up Paul. She said, "You don't have a choice." I'm like,
"That's good. Get the vote of confidence."
I'm like, it's 3 days. Look, I don't care if it's E3. Like, well, no, it's not all day. She's like, I don't care if it was. It's Paul. You're doing it. Like, you don't even. That's it. There's no debate. He's like, he's been kicking your ass and making you. He says do it, you do it. I'm like,
it's part of the workout. Is to stream into me.
Like, what happens if he tells me I'm coming to his Zelda pool? Am I doing that too?
Yeah, that's part of it. I'll say this as a final tease for the podcast. I can't say who, but I'm going to a studio Friday to see some world exclusive stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Exciting.
That's all I'll say.
That's all you can say. Yeah, it's exciting. Stay tuned for Indie Mania. Might hear more. We'll see. All right. Thank you guys so much for being there. Same time next week. Well, hopefully a little sooner. Hopefully not late. Hopefully, I don't know. It was weird. Hopefully I have the podcast set up a lot earlier too. I got to take care of that. You guys are awesome. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning, whatever it is.